Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Mastered Every Element? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. A 12-year-old Minato stood on a water tower, gazing at the Hokage monument. Each of the three faces represented the will of fire in their unique way. The Shodaime Hokage, Hashirama Senju, co-founded the Hidden Village system with his best friend and rival, Madara Uchiha. The Nidaime Hokage, Tobirama Senju, Hashirama's younger brother, established the rules and founded the Chunin exams, ensuring the village's daily operations ran smoothly. Lastly, there was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, who had held the title the longest, serving since the middle of the Second Shinobi World War. Minato smiled, envisioning the day when his face would join those of the greatest shinobi his village had ever known. 12 years later, Minato Namikaze stood over his wife, a massive claw looming above her. Beneath her lay a small child with cerulean blue eyes, marked by a peculiar six-ring pattern. The baby looked up at his mother and smiled, his whisker marks resembling extra smiles on his cheeks. The woman returned his smile, even as tears fell onto the baby's blanket. She whispered her love for him just as the claw pierced through her body, a flash of white illuminating the scene. A young man with spiky white hair, dressed in a black uniform and mask that concealed most of his face, held Naruto a few feet away. He turned to see Minato, his teacher and father figure, standing there with a large claw through his stomach, while his wife, Kushina Uzumaki, lay pinned beneath it. Kakashi, the young man, muttered Minato's name in disbelief. Minato instructed Kakashi to bring Naruto closer, a smile gracing his face as he saw his student holding his son. He explained that he would seal the Kyuubi into Naruto, knowing it would cost him his life, but that his son would become the village's hero. Minato performed a series of hand seals and called forth the Reaper Death Seal, summoning a large, spectral entity from a complex seal matrix. The Reaper's voice echoed as it asked for its duty. Minato offered his soul in exchange for sealing the Kyuubi within Naruto. The Reaper scrutinized him, stating that one soul was not enough. Weakly, Kushina offered her soul as well, and the Reaper accepted. It promised to place the beast within Naruto, but warned that it was up to them to ensure it remained there. The Reaper transformed the massive fox into a small orange orb. Minato rapidly formed a complex seal matrix, far more intricate than the Reaper's seal. As the Reaper's hand approached Naruto, Minato winced, hoping it was not a mistake. The orange orb entered Naruto's stomach. He shouted the sealing command with all his remaining strength, placing a hand on his son's stomach and leaving a spiral design with two four-pronged sealing matrices. Minato imparted his hopes and advice to Naruto, reminding him to eat well, stay warm, and make friends he could trust. He cautioned against alcohol until adulthood and encouraged him to embrace his strengths and weaknesses. Kushina cried, wishing she could share more with her son, expressing her love as the Reaper began to take her soul. Minato, feeling the Reaper draw at his own soul, smiled sadly and told Naruto he believed in him, confident he would grow into a great man. He also expressed pride in Kakashi, ruffling his hair as the Reaper took the last remnants of his soul. Kakashi gazed at the baby in his arms, tears forming in his visible eye as Naruto reached for his face and giggled. He vowed to ensure Naruto became the best man possible. 12 years later, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki had just graduated from the Shinobi Academy of Konoha. He stood on the same water tower where Minato had once stood, looking at the Hokage monument's four faces: Hashirama Senju, the architect of the villages; Tobirama Senju, the creator of countless jutsu; Hiruzen Sarutobi, the current Hokage and one of Naruto's cherished people; and Minato Namikaze, his father, who had sealed the Kyuubi within him. While Naruto held no resentment towards his father, he felt no familial connection, seeing Kakashi Hatake as the true father figure who had raised him. As he stood there, his best friend Ino Yamanaka called out to him from the base of the tower, inviting him to celebrate their graduation with a barbecue. Naruto smirked and jumped down, eager to join her, reminiscing about the first time they met. Flashback. A 6-year-old Naruto fidgeted nervously as Kakashi escorted him to the academy for his first day. He wanted to make a good impression, worried about tarnishing Kakashi's reputation as the Leaf's strongest and the Namikaze name. Kakashi reassured him, urging him not to worry so much. Naruto, with his best puppy dog face, asked if he could just learn to be a ninja from Kakashi. With a laugh, Kakashi encouraged him to embrace the experience ahead. No one would be mean to Naruto, and he wouldn't have to fight anyone until next year. He pouted, claiming he wasn't afraid of fighting and could take on everyone at once. However, he expressed his reluctance to be surrounded by a bunch of wimps. Kakashi reminded him that overconfidence wasn't beneficial and that having friends was important, referencing a letter from his mother. Although Kushina hadn't written the letter, Kakashi had memorized her words and copied her handwriting using his Sharingan. Naruto insisted he didn't need many friends, just a few he could trust deeply. The memory of his mother's letter always brought a smile to his face, making him feel her love surrounding him. Kakashi encouraged him to go make some friends and said he would see him later. With a burst of energy, Naruto shouted his name as he ran into the yard. As he entered the play area, he noticed his new classmates. A boy with black hair sat alone in the corner, engrossed in a book. Nearby, a pink-haired girl played in the flowers with a blonde girl dressed in purple. A boy in a dirty jacket was busy on the obstacle course, while a girl with short lavender hair stood by herself, fidgeting. Lastly, he spotted a bored-looking boy with a pineapple hairstyle staring at the sky, accompanied by a chubby boy munching on chips. Naruto approached the duo of boys first. He introduced himself with enthusiasm, extending his hand. The boy with the pineapple haircut lazily waved 2 fingers and introduced himself as Shikamaru Nara. The other boy, Choji Akimichi, shook Naruto's hand and recognized him as the 4th son. Naruto scowled slightly, asserting that while Minato was his father, he was his own person. Choji welcomed him warmly and offered him a chip, which Naruto gratefully accepted. He spent some time with the 2 boys, feeling a stronger connection with Choji, who was more open than the reserved Shikamaru. At lunchtime, Naruto decided to approach the shy girl, who seemed somewhat familiar. He introduced himself again, but the girl, Hinata Hyuga, turned beet red and fainted. Alarmed, Naruto called for Irika-sensei, who rushed over to check on her. After confirming that Hinata would be fine, Irika suggested Naruto go play, which he agreed to, as long as she was safe. Suddenly, the blonde girl from the flowers approached him, introducing herself as Ino Yamanaka. Naruto waved back, a bit surprised by how close she was, and introduced himself again. Ino giggled at his enthusiasm, finding it amusing that he couldn't speak without making a funny noise. This made Naruto light up, and he shared a story about his brother Kakashi, who often advised him to tone it down. The 2 quickly formed a bond, and Naruto felt that Ino could be his new best friend. Later, they arrived at the barbecue place owned by Choji's mother, where the rest of their group was already waiting. Shikamaru noticed them first and nodded, while Sakura smiled and Choji waved. Hinata offered a quick smile and wave, and Shino greeted them calmly. As they enjoyed their meal, the group laughed and reminisced, knowing that starting tomorrow, they would become genin and have little time to spend together unless they ended up on the same team. Sakura expressed her feelings of missing their time together, speculating that she might be placed with Kiba, but hoped Naruto would be on her team too. Naruto, however, informed her that he would likely be placed with Ino and possibly Shino, as he was unsure about the other kids. Sakura teased him about having the handsome prodigy on her team, to which Naruto replied that Shino would be on his team, causing the shy boy to blush slightly. Shikamaru questioned whether Ino would be with him and Choji, referring to the Ino Shikacho trio. Naruto explained that Kakashi had mentioned a change in strategy, which meant they wouldn't be grouped together this time. Hinata wondered why they were discussing war preparations, noting that there hadn't been any unusual border activity lately. Shikamaru was curious about how she knew this, and Hinata explained that her clan often served as border guards because of the Byakugan, and she had overheard some Chunin discussing the lack of action. Shino pointed out that it was better to be prepared, emphasizing that even if there wasn't a war at the moment, it could happen at any time. Naruto and Shikamaru agreed, with Naruto likening their peace treaties to a game of shogi, where one wrong move could change everything. They all understood that the world was unpredictable and they needed to stay vigilant. IWA and Kumo had recently signed an alliance, bringing them closer than ever. Ino found it a bit unsettling that Naruto, of all people, knew so much about other villages. She remarked that it was surprising for someone who struggled with simple math but could sneak into the Hokage's office and read classified reports effortlessly. Shikamaru added that nothing was more dangerous than an idiot with knowledge, prompting Naruto to shout in protest, which made the rest of the group laugh. Naruto was running the academy obstacle course, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves with only 2 hours left until he would learn about his teacher and teammates. He muttered to himself that he would snap if he had to work with the DMED team. As he navigated the course, he rolled under a volley of dulled shuriken, which still stung upon impact. He jumped onto a swaying log, applying chakra to his feet for balance. When he reached the end, he leapt over a large hole in the ground, knowing that while the fall wasn't deadly, it could still lead to injury. He landed with a roll and sprinted toward the finish line, narrowly avoiding dulled spikes that erupted from the ground. Panting, he acknowledged that the new obstacle was unexpected. Kakashi, reading his book, casually noted that the jutsu had been around forever. Naruto, feeling a mix of frustration and humor, accused Kakashi of trying to kill him, only to have Kakashi dismiss his concern with a playful warning about the dangers of sharp objects. Naruto's eyes widened in horror at the thought of Kakashi forbidding him from ramen, and he growled a fierce warning. Kakashi, however, reassured him and instructed him to run the course again. Reluctantly, Naruto returned to the start, determined to improve despite Kakashi's efforts to trip him up with various jutsu. As he navigated the course again, Naruto managed to evade the first volley of shuriken, even as Kakashi doubled the amount. The second volley was infused with fire, and the third came as he crossed a log, where Kakashi used a wind jutsu to increase their speed. With a burst of determination, Naruto dodged the shuriken and approached the final obstacle, the swaying log. He leapt onto it, hoping to finish before Kakashi could unleash another attack. Kakashi, however, had other plans. He called out a fire jutsu, summoning 3 flaming wolves that charged toward Naruto. In a moment of panic, Naruto ran faster and began forming the seals for the only water jutsu he knew, unleashing a stream of water at the wolves. Unfortunately, it was too weak and only managed to extinguish one. Just as the remaining wolves were about to reach him, a powerful stream of water cut through them. Irika, observing the scene, questioned Kakashi about the intensity of his jutsu, but Kakashi waved him off, confident in Naruto's resourcefulness. Irika then called Naruto into the classroom, noting that the team reveals were approaching and suggesting that Kakashi had better things to do than chase him with flaming dogs. Kakashi smirked, indicating he had plenty of time to spare. As they entered the classroom, Naruto expressed his curiosity about the jutsu Kakashi had used, only to be scolded by Irika for his language. Seated at the back of the classroom, Naruto was flanked by Ino and Sakura, surrounded by 30 hopeful genin. Irika stood at the front alongside his aide, Mizuki. Mizuki directed a spike of intent toward Naruto, who responded with a glare. Irika addressed the class, expressing pride in their accomplishments over the past 7 years, while reminding them that the shinobi world was not as glamorous as it seemed in fairy tales. He turned to Mizuki, inviting him to share his thoughts. Mizuki stepped forward with a smile, reiterating that the shinobi world was harsh and that they might one day face difficult choices, including taking lives. He encouraged those who found it challenging to seek help. Irika then presented awards for Male Rookie of the Year and Female Rookie of the Year, each winner receiving high-quality shuriken and kunai. Mizuki announced that the Male Rookie of the Year was a close contest between Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, ultimately declaring Sasuke the winner. Sasuke dismissed the award, claiming he had better ones already, which prompted Naruto to protest loudly. Ino urged him to be quiet, and he sat down in frustration. Mizuki then revealed the Female Rookie of the Year, a competition between Ino and Sakura, both of whom had excelled in various skills. As Mizuki built suspense, Sakura playfully taunted Ino, only to be pinched in return. Finally, Mizuki announced Sakura Haruno as the winner, much to the excitement of the class. The pinkette jumped up and ran to get the box. She thanked Mizuki-sensei and approached Sasuke with excitement, sharing that she had earned the title of top kunoichi, which meant they would be on a team together. Sasuke, however, glared at her and asked her to leave. Sakura, feeling dismissed, focused on her feet as she walked back to her seat. Naruto, unable to contain himself, shouted at Sasuke, expressing that his words were uncalled for. Sasuke turned to Naruto, his glare sharp, and stated that he didn't care about anyone in the room, especially not someone who only aimed to impress him. He had a singular goal and warned Naruto to stay out of his way if he couldn't help him achieve it. Naruto growled, ready to confront Sasuke, but Mizuki intervened by throwing a kunai onto Naruto's desk, commanding him to sit down. Naruto declared that this wasn't over, while Irika stepped forward, holding the lists for the teams. He explained that, unlike previous years, the teams would be formed based on how well the Hokage believed they could work together, rather than solely on academy scores. As he began to announce the teams, he listed mostly civilian students whose names Naruto didn't recognize. When Irika announced Team 6, consisting of Shino Aburame, Sakura Haruno, and Kiba Inuzuka under Jonin Kurenai Yuhi, Sakura expressed her relief at being with Shino, noting that Kurenai was reputed to be skilled in genjutsu. Then Irika announced Team 7, which included Sasuke Uchiha, Ino Yamanaka, and Naruto Uzumaki under Jonin Kakashi Hatake. Shino questioned the strength of Team 7, pointing out that their placements were usually based on scores to balance the teams. Irika acknowledged Shino's observation but explained that the Hokage believed this new method would create stronger teams and a more powerful Konoha. Naruto, bewildered, shouted about how he and Sasuke could possibly work well together. Irika suggested that Naruto could ask the Hokage about it later. He continued announcing Team 10, which included Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Hinata Hyuga under Jonin Asuma Sarutobi, before leaving the room with Mizuki. Asuma and Kurenai arrived shortly after. Asuma, a tall man with neatly kept black hair and a smoke in his mouth, introduced himself as the teacher for Team 10. Kurenai, a woman with long black hair and red eyes, introduced herself as the sensei for Team 6 and led her team out of the room. Asuma followed suit with his team. Naruto, feeling restless, began practicing hand seals while commenting that Kakashi was always late. Ino, tired, laid her head down and asked to be woken when Kakashi arrived. Sasuke sat quietly, calling Naruto a dobe. When Naruto asked what he meant, Sasuke offered him some weapons, which Naruto declined, insisting that his were of high quality. Sasuke explained that he preferred using his father's old weapons, prompting Naruto to wonder if Sasuke was being sentimental. When Sasuke threatened to throw the weapons away, Naruto urged him to keep them, suggesting they might be useful later. Just then, Kakashi opened the door and asked if he was late. Naruto, surprised, shouted for him to come back. On the roof of the academy building, Team 7 sat waiting for Kakashi. Sasuke remained stoic while Ino and Naruto hoped for Kakashi to speak. After a moment of silence, Ino stood up, demanding Kakashi's attention. When he ignored her, she approached him but froze under his intense gaze. Sasuke stood up, stating that he would leave if Kakashi didn't start talking. Kakashi finally acknowledged them, noting Sasuke's patience and contrasting it with Ino's impatience. Kakashi explained that patience, diligence, and humility were traits he would instill in them. He informed them that they would begin working as a team the next day and expected them at Training Ground 12 by 8 a.m., warning of a punishment for tardiness. Before they concluded, Kakashi emphasized the importance of knowing each other as teammates, not just as friends, and challenged them to consider each other's strengths and weaknesses. "Do you know what to watch for if you're fighting with me?" Naruto pointed out that Kakashi's weakness was the orange book in his kunai pouch. Kakashi appeared behind him in an instant, faster than any of the newly minted genin could see, and whispered that in a real fight, that book was nothing. He reminded Naruto of his status as an S-rank shinobi, a former ANBU captain, and a trusted aide to Hokage-sama. Did Naruto really think a book could be his weakness? Naruto shrugged, noting that the book was always in Kakashi's hands, even during spars with Gai-sensei and Asuma-sensei. Sasuke chimed in, stating that Kakashi was known as Kakashi of the Sharingan, and it was nearly impossible to defeat his clan's dojutsu. Kakashi acknowledged Sasuke's knowledge of the bingo book but corrected him on a few points. He insisted it wasn't a handicap, he simply didn't want to ruin his yard, and the Sharingan was far from invincible. Sasuke grunted in response, suggesting that Kakashi might not know how to use it properly. Kakashi decided they would go in a circle, sharing their dreams, strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, and hobbies. He started, admitting he didn't know his dream for the future, that the genin were too young to understand his likes and dislikes, and that he had many hobbies. Ino was next, expressing her dream of becoming a strong kunoichi, her love for fashion and flowers, her dislike for mean people, and her hobbies of hanging out with friends and gardening. She acknowledged her strengths in genjutsu and basic ninjutsu but admitted she wasn't the strongest physically. Sasuke followed, stating he had many dislikes and not much he liked. His hobbies revolved around training, and his ambition was to eliminate a certain person. He claimed to be good at everything and insisted he had no weaknesses. Ino thought to herself that it was the most she had ever heard Sasuke say at once, while Naruto found Sasuke to be deep but overly arrogant. When it was Naruto's turn, he declared his dream was to become Hokage. He liked training, playing pranks, ramen, and spending time with friends. He disliked arrogant people and anyone who would harm a comrade, which made Kakashi feel a pang of guilt. Naruto shared that his biggest strength was ninjutsu, thanks to the Kyuubi and his Uzumaki lineage, which granted him large reserves of chakra. He mentioned being good with water style and wind style but could only use C-rank techniques for now. He admitted he struggled with genjutsu and that his taijutsu style was unrefined. Kakashi acknowledged Naruto's points but reminded Sasuke that everyone has a weakness, especially as a new genin. He pointed out that Sasuke had used the same kunai for 5 years and didn't know how to sharpen it without risking damage. He also noted Sasuke's tendency to get frustrated easily, recalling an incident during a spar with the Akimichi heir when Sasuke nearly resorted to a fire-style jutsu but was stopped by the chakra constraints in the ring. Sasuke was surprised to learn Kakashi had been watching. Kakashi explained he needed to verify Naruto's claims about his fighting skills, as Naruto barely lasted 3 minutes against him. Naruto protested, claiming he had lasted 5 minutes last time and that Kakashi had used 2 jutsu he couldn't counter. Kakashi waved him off, announcing he would see them all the next day at Training Ground 12 at 8 a.m. With a swirl of leaves, he vanished. Naruto exclaimed his desire to learn the Shunshin technique, while Sasuke told him to be quiet as he walked toward the stairs. Naruto invited Sasuke to Ichiraku's, suggesting it would be good to go as a team, but Sasuke grunted and turned away. Ino, disappointed, led Naruto to his favorite restaurant. The next morning arrived quickly, and Naruto and Sasuke were already at the training ground, waiting for Ino. Ino smiled as she saw the two engaged in what seemed like a mock fight, exchanging powerful blows. She called out to them, urging them to calm down as it was almost 8. In the midst of their spar, Naruto was caught off guard by Sasuke's punch and transformed into a plume of smoke. He quickly reappeared at the tree line, going through hand seals and unleashing a powerful wind-style technique that sent Sasuke crashing to the ground. Naruto then helped Sasuke up, acknowledging his improvement. Ino reminded them that Kakashi-sensei would arrive soon and that they shouldn't waste their energy. Naruto insisted Kakashi would be late, likely not arriving until 11. He then offered them food, pulling out 3 bento boxes filled with steamed rice, grilled fish and pickles. Ino gratefully accepted the food, enjoying Naruto's cooking, which surprised her given his usual antics. Sasuke hesitated but eventually tried some rice, pleasantly surprised by how good it was. He began to eat faster, enjoying the blend of herbs that Naruto used to flavor everything. It took 2 hours for Kakashi to arrive, and he was pleasantly surprised to see Naruto sitting between Ino and Sasuke, laughing. Although Sasuke didn't seem to participate in the conversation, it was nice to see him beside his teammates instead of sulking in a corner. Kakashi walked up and waved, and Ino glared at him. She exclaimed that he was late. Kakashi responded casually, saying he had been helping an old lady cross the street and had to avoid a black cat to prevent bad luck. Naruto snorted, knowing Kakashi had likely gone to the memorial stone to talk to his deceased friends, Obito Uchiha and Rin no Era. He teased Kakashi, suggesting he had gotten lost while reading his book. Kakashi dismissed the comment and took out 2 bells, explaining that there were 3 of them and whoever got a bell would become part of Team 7, while the one who didn't would return to the academy. They would have until 1 p.m. to accomplish this. Naruto expressed his confusion, noting that all genin teams were usually 4-man squads. Kakashi clarified that the 4th member was typically a reserve around the same age as the others. Naruto dropped the topic, sensing Kakashi was not being entirely truthful. He felt there was something more going on. Kakashi warned them that they would need to come at him with the intent to kill, or they would fail. With that, he vanished. Sasuke took off into the forest surrounding the training ground. Naruto urged Ino to stay together, emphasizing that they needed Sasuke as well, and he ran after him. Sasuke climbed a tree, observing Kakashi, who was standing still, reading his orange book. Remembering Naruto's comment about the book being Kakashi's weakness, Sasuke decided to use that to his advantage. He palmed 3 shuriken in each hand and leaped over the clearing where Kakashi stood, moving silently to position himself perfectly for an attack. As Sasuke launched the shuriken, Kakashi closed his book and stepped back, weaving hand seals at an incredible speed. He unleashed a wave of intense heat that made Sasuke feel lightheaded, causing him to fall from the tree. However, one of Naruto's shadow clones caught him. Naruto then called out a water technique, sending a stream of water toward Kakashi, who easily sidestepped it. He instructed Ino to act, and she released a flurry of smoke bombs to cover their escape with Sasuke. Naruto grabbed Ino, and they took a longer path to the lake to regroup with the clone. When they met up, Sasuke was just waking up. Naruto waved in front of his face, and as the clone dissipated, he informed Sasuke that they had rescued him. He urged Sasuke to get up, revealing that he had a plan. Sasuke stood up, glaring at Naruto, but he understood that he needed to cooperate if he wanted to succeed as a shinobi. Naruto explained his plan, and both Ino and Sasuke nodded, leaping into the nearby trees and suppressing their chakra as much as possible. Naruto stood in front of the lake, waiting for Kakashi to approach. Kakashi walked calmly toward Naruto, emerging from the brush as if he had been there all along. He expressed hope that Naruto did not plan to take him on alone, noting he was impressed with Naruto and Ino earlier. Naruto responded confidently, stating that a Hokage had to stand out and couldn't always rely on others. He rushed at Kakashi, jumping into the air and creating 3 clones. All 4 Narutos began to attack Kakashi with taijutsu, hoping to land a hit. Kakashi expertly deflected all of Naruto's attacks without even needing to dodge. Suddenly, he sensed a spike of chakra behind him and leaped upward to evade a fireball that flew across the lake, evaporating the water and exploding against a boulder on the other side. Kakashi's eyes widened at the power behind the jutsu that a genin had just unleashed. As he felt a genjutsu layer over him, he decided to let his students proceed with their plan. He backed up to avoid a kick from Naruto and jumped to evade a second fireball from Sasuke. Just as he was about to land, he heard Ino's voice call out an earth technique. He realized the genjutsu had concealed the location of the wall. As he landed, his heel hit the wall, causing him to trip forward. He caught himself with his hand and bounced upward, coming face to face with Team 7 in all their glory. Naruto stood in the middle, with Sasuke to his right and Ino to his left. Naruto declared that they wouldn't lose, punctuating his statement with a punch to his palm. Ino nodded, readying 2 kunai, while Sasuke mirrored her action. Kakashi thought to himself that this might be fun as Sasuke charged forward. Sasuke and Kakashi engaged in hand-to-hand combat, and the Jonin had to admit that Sasuke was exceptionally skilled. Naruto then unleashed a technique, releasing 12 compressed air bullets that nearly hit Kakashi. As he dodged, Kakashi felt another genjutsu but allowed it to unfold, knowing that letting his students try their tactics was part of teaching. Kakashi dodged a second flurry of compressed air and saw a fireball coming at him. He quickly began weaving hand seals, using the water from the lake to create a barrier. He transformed the barrier into a large serpent head that flew towards Sasuke. Naruto jumped in front of the jutsu, performing 3 hand seals and unleashing a wave of wind that shredded Kakashi's water technique. However, The effort left Naruto panting and he collapsed, having exhausted too much chakra. Sasuke watched as Naruto fell, recalling the last time he had seen the blonde lose consciousness. In a flashback, a 6-year-old Sasuke was practicing tree hopping, striving to catch up to his brother, Itachi. While leaping from tree to tree, he heard a scream. His eyes widened, and he rushed toward the sound, discovering a young Hinata Hyuga surrounded by 3 boys who appeared to be around Itachi's age. Sasuke thought to himself that if they were as old as his brother, they must be strong. As he observed the boys pushing Hinata to the ground, he clenched his fists, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. He wanted to intervene but found himself frozen in place. Was this fear? Shouldn't an Uchiha elite be above such feelings? Did Itachi ever feel this way? Suddenly, a loud shout broke through his thoughts. It was Naruto, wearing a bright orange jacket adorned with a black swirl and a long red scarf that trailed behind him. He jumped over the 3 older boys, positioning himself protectively in front of Hinata, and declared that they should leave her alone. The leader of the boys smirked, aware that Naruto was the son of the 4th Hokage, but dismissed him as just a kid. He brandished a thick branch, lightly tapping the other boys with it. The others echoed his taunt, each tearing off a branch from a nearby tree to join in. Naruto stood firm, raising his hands to his sides and meeting their gazes directly. He took a branch to the face but did not flinch. The second branch made him step back, and the third knocked him down. The boys began to laugh as they continued to strike him with their sticks. Sasuke felt a surge of anger. He could jump in and fight them, but he knew Naruto was strong too. Yet, Naruto wasn't fighting back. It dawned on Sasuke that Naruto was holding back on purpose since they were just civilians. Despite being a ninja in training, Naruto likely possessed strength equal to that of a new genin due to his lineage. Just as the leader prepared to swing his stick down on Naruto's head with both hands, a pulse of chakra shattered the stick. Sasuke turned to see an unfamiliar Hyuga, one hand extended toward the boys, causing them to flee. The Hyuga approached Hinata, helping her up, and then lifted Naruto before walking away with Hinata by his side. Sasuke looked at Naruto's bruised form, gaining newfound respect for the blonde that day. In the present, Kakashi's eyes widened as he realized Naruto had used a D-rank jutsu to counter a powerful B-rank technique. He felt both impressed and concerned. Sasuke dashed forward, nodding slightly at Ino, hoping she understood his intent. He reached for the 2 bells hanging from Kakashi's waist, managing to hook one with his fingers before Kakashi kneed him in the stomach, sending him flying upward. When he looked down, he noticed one bell was missing. Naruto then sprang up, forming the tiger seal and calling out, "Fire style, flare," as he placed his hands against a surprised Kakashi's vest, igniting them with heat. Ino rushed in and snatched the second bell just as Kakashi grabbed Naruto and flung him away. Ino rolled toward where Sasuke had landed, but the bell was not in her hand. Instead, Sasuke held both bells. A smirk spread across Naruto's face, realizing their plan had succeeded. They had won against Kakashi, who acknowledged their victory and decided it was time to register them as official genin of the Hidden Leaf before leading them back to the village. Chapter 3, Graduation 3. Graduation. Naruto was walking through the village, enjoying a day off from Kakashi-sensei's training after the bell test the previous day. Ino was busy starting her clan jutsu with her father, and all his other friends had completed their tests on the first day, meaning their rest day was yesterday. As he strolled through the streets, he heard merchants calling out to him, offering fresh fruits. While the attention had been flattering as a child, it felt strange now that he was older. The villagers revered him, but he couldn't shake the fear of failure. What if the fox's power leaked out even a little? The thought of putting them in danger troubled him. Were they not afraid of him because of his father's legacy, or did they glorify him out of fear? Shaking off these thoughts, Naruto continued his walk, waving to a few villagers while mostly keeping to himself. He felt a pair of eyes on him the entire time. Once he reached a quieter area, he turned around and spotted a box painted gray with 2 eye holes. He stated that he knew someone was there. The box burst open, revealing a young boy, likely just entering the academy. The boy was missing a tooth, which made his smile seem amusing. He wore a gray helmet with a tuft of hair poking through a hole in the top, a yellow t-shirt, blue shorts, and a teal scarf trailing behind him. The boy exclaimed that Naruto had been chosen to be his rival. Naruto asked who he was. The boy proudly introduced himself as Konohamaru Sarutobi, sticking out his chest and poking it with his thumb. Naruto recognized him as the Hokage's grandson, recalling stories of how he would try to assassinate the old man to get his attention. Konohamaru scowled, admitting that his enthusiasm had faded. He expressed frustration that Naruto only knew him because of his grandfather, wanting to be recognized as his own ninja. Naruto empathized, sharing that the villagers only recognized him because of his father, the Yondaime. They compared him to his father and expected him to be just like him, but he wanted to carve out his own identity as a ninja. Konohamaru's eyes sparkled with admiration, calling Naruto cool. They talked for a while about their struggles with identity, with Konohamaru revealing he was known only as the honorable grandson, and Naruto sharing how he couldn't walk through the village without being thanked for simply existing. Eventually, Konohamaru decided that Naruto would be his boss. Though Naruto found it a bit odd, he welcomed the idea of someone wanting to follow him. He told Konohamaru to train hard and listen to Iruka-sensei when he started the academy. Naruto promised to strive to become a jonin so he could be Konohamaru's sensei when he graduated. With a wave, Naruto ran off, leaving the young boy grinning widely. 30 minutes later, Naruto found himself at a familiar training ground, Training Ground 33, where Kakashi had taught him nearly everything and helped him discover his affinity for chakra. In a flashback, a 10-year-old Naruto stood in the middle of the large field that made up Training Ground. It was his birthday, but instead of celebrating with friends, Kakashi had asked him to come here. He waited for hours until Kakashi finally arrived, finding Naruto practicing the substitution jutsu. Kakashi shook his head, amused by Naruto's dedication. Kakashi greeted him, and Naruto eagerly asked what he would learn that day. Kakashi explained they would test Naruto's chakra nature, noting that he wasn't supposed to learn this until he became a chunin, but Naruto was talented enough to start early. He kept the fact that it was due to Naruto's father a secret. Naruto was excited at the prospect of learning powerful jutsu. Kakashi tempered his enthusiasm, explaining they would start with chakra nature and not jump straight into advanced techniques. Naruto's smile returned as he asked what he needed to do. Kakashi handed him a piece of paper, instructing him to channel chakra into it. Naruto did so, and the paper reacted dramatically, crumbling and tearing apart. Kakashi explained that this meant Naruto had minor affinities for earth, lightning, water, and fire, but an exceptionally strong affinity for wind. He was impressed, noting that even the Hokage hadn't had such diverse affinities at Naruto's age. Naruto asked if he could learn all the jutsu, and Kakashi clarified that he could, except for Kekkei Genkai or Hijitsu. They would focus on wind first, followed by water and fire, allowing Naruto to choose what to learn afterward. Excited, Naruto shouted for them to start training, and they immediately began learning the wind style, blast jutsu, an E-rank technique primarily for honing chakra affinity. Returning to the present, Naruto shook his head, focusing on his training. He covered his hand in electricity, aware that he had learned an E-rank jutsu of each nature but had yet to master them. He excelled at wind style, with water style as a close second. Once proficient in both, he planned to tackle lightning and fire style, saving earth style for last. He looked at the towering trees surrounding the clearing, marveling at their size. With determination, he performed the hand signs for water style, unleashing a powerful stream of water against a large tree. The water pierced the bark, digging deep into the trunk. Not satisfied, Naruto continued his efforts, determined to break through the center of the tree. Naruto turned toward another tree and unleashed a jet of water from his mouth once more. He stood in the center of Training Ground 7, tapping his foot impatiently. Sasuke, engrossed in a scroll, glanced up and expressed his annoyance. Naruto paused for a moment, mimicking Sasuke's tone before resuming his foot tapping. Sasuke rolled up his scroll, stood, and walked to a tree at the edge of the clearing. Naruto's eyes lit up with an idea to practice his earth manipulation. He focused his chakra into the ground, sending a line towards Sasuke and creating a shallow circle around him. The technique, intended to create a pit trap, resulted in only a small indent beneath Sasuke, insufficient to disturb him significantly. Sasuke glared at Naruto, warning him to try again at his own peril. Naruto, undeterred, challenged Sasuke's abilities, claiming he would last only a minute in a fight. Sasuke, now prepared for a potential confrontation, drew a kunai in each hand. Naruto slipped into his favorite taijutsu stance, recalling how the three of them had recently worked together to surprise Kakashi, even if the Jonin had been holding back. Shaking off his thoughts, he focused on the present challenge. Suddenly, Ino's voice echoed through the clearing as she stormed between the two boys. She warned Naruto to stop his antics, emphasizing that Kakashi would arrive soon and she did not want to face punishment laps again because of their stubbornness. Sasuke bluntly stated that they were not friends and that he found Naruto annoying. Naruto retorted, asserting his strength while poking his head around Ino to glare at Sasuke. Ino, exasperated, threw her arms up and stomped away, muttering about the boy's behavior. Naruto made a mental note to apologize later, but his focus remained on winning the impending fight. Kakashi's voice suddenly interrupted, reminding them that he had instructed them to avoid fighting. Sasuke, realizing he had been caught, jogged to the edge of the clearing, preparing to accept the punishment without complaint. Naruto, crossing his arms defiantly, insisted he wouldn't participate in the punishment run, claiming Sasuke had started it. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, questioning Naruto about his attempted pit trap. Unable to suppress a smirk, Naruto attempted to justify his actions as a test of Sasuke's situational awareness. Kakashi, unimpressed, assigned them double laps as punishment. Naruto was taken aback, questioning the fairness of the punishment. Kakashi simply stated that Naruto was not convincing in his excuses. Later, Naruto held a large, flailing brown cat in his arms, expressing his frustration over the repetitive D-rank missions they had been assigned. Kakashi, though unseen, smirked at the situation. Over the past month, his team had completed numerous D-rank missions, focusing on teamwork and honing their skills in various areas. Kakashi finally agreed to approach the Hokage for a C-rank mission, igniting excitement in Naruto. Ino eagerly joined in, thrilled at the prospect of leaving the village. Sasuke, usually stoic, also showed a hint of excitement. Kakashi announced they would head to the Hokage after lunch, playfully declaring that the last one there would have to pay. With a smirk, Naruto pulled out 3 bento boxes, declaring that Kakashi would be the one paying. He led the way to the park by the tower, ready for the next adventure. Tazuna, on the other hand, was known for his grumpy demeanor. He criticized Naruto and Ino for their blonde hair and boldness, though the gray-haired man was no better in the boldness department, especially when intoxicated. For some reason, he seemed to favor Sasuke. He slurred that he thought he had hired skilled ninjas, not a bunch of kids, while pointing at Naruto and noting his small stature. Kakashi furrowed his brow but remained silent, trusting that his genin would catch on. Sasuke huffed, stating that it was a C-rank mission and they shouldn't have to deal with other ninjas unless Tazuna was lying. The bridge builder instantly sobered at this accusation, raising Kakashi's doubts that this was indeed a simple C-rank mission. Things were rarely that straightforward for any of Team 7's incarnations. Tazuna stammered that he hadn't lied but acknowledged that there was always a chance they might encounter other ninjas. Ino and Naruto exchanged glances, and the Yamanaka heiress nodded in agreement. Naruto declared that he was strong enough as he was and didn't need to prove himself to a drunk. Ino subtly moved closer to Tazuna, prompting Kakashi, who stood at the back, to sigh and address her sternly. He asked why Tazuna had hired ninjas from the Leaf instead of from Wave. Ino explained that Wave didn't have a ninja corps and that they were the closest available, aside from the Hidden Mist, which was embroiled in a civil war. After a few more minutes, they passed a puddle, and Ino turned to Kakashi, who nodded subtly. She halted, causing the other 2 genin to stop as well. Suddenly, a shout of pain erupted from Kakashi, who had been ensnared in a chain, leaving behind only a splash of red liquid. Naruto fell to his knees in shock as 2 ninjas dressed in black appeared. One had unkempt shoulder-length brown hair, a rebreather on his face, and a large metal gauntlet on his right hand, while the other had straight hair and wore a similar outfit with his gauntlet on the left hand. The chain that had ensnared Kakashi was now in their possession. Ino's shout snapped Naruto from his stupor. He realized he needed to dodge but had no time to react as the chain slammed into his stomach, knocking the breath out of him. Before they could ensnare him further, Sasuke acted quickly, throwing a kunai into one of the links and anchoring it to the ground. This action freed Naruto, though he was left with bleeding puncture wounds. The two missing nin detached their claws, and the one with shaggy hair charged at Sasuke while the other turned toward Ino. Naruto thought that he would heal quickly, but as the second ninja approached Ino, he leaped up and threw a kunai into the back of the enemy's head, dropping him. Sasuke ducked under a jab from the large claw, sweeping his opponent's legs out from underneath him. He leapt upwards and quickly performed the hand seals for his family's signature jutsu, unleashing a large fireball that engulfed the man, leaving nothing behind but ash. Sasuke landed and stood frozen, staring at his fallen opponent, muttering that he had killed him. A familiar deep voice echoed in his mind, acknowledging his progress toward his brother Itachi. Sasuke ignored it, as he had grown accustomed to the shadow that lingered since the night of the massacre. Kakashi's voice broke through his thoughts, congratulating him on his first kill and reminding him that they needed to return to Konoha. He explained that the mission parameters had changed, making it at least a B rank. Tazuna pleaded for their help, explaining that Gato had taken control of Wave Country, halting all business and leaving the country in poverty. He emphasized the importance of the bridge he was constructing for his family and the country. Naruto declared his intention to help, stating that Kakashi could bring the others back if he wanted, but he would not leave. Kakashi sighed and summoned a small white dog, quickly sending a message back to the leaf, hoping for reinforcements before it was too late. The next few days passed uneventfully as they traveled through Water Country, only 2 days away from Wave. Kakashi had yet to receive a response to his message. Ino mused about seeing the ocean as they walked, with a large lake to their left and a sprawling forest on their right. Ino walked beside Tazuna, while Naruto was on the other side, and Sasuke kept a vigilant watch ahead. Suddenly, Ino shouted for everyone to duck, taking down both Tazuna and Naruto before rolling into a crouch with kunai in hand. A large blade was embedded in a tree, and atop it stood a tall, muscular man, clearly a ninja. His light gray skin and black hair contrasted sharply with the pristine white bandages wrapped around his face, hiding everything up to his nose. He wore a black one-piece suit with cobalt leg warmers, ready for a confrontation. On his head was a tilted forehead protector. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, stood before Kakashi, who locked eyes with him, identifying him as an A-rank missing nin from Kirigakure. Kakashi acknowledged Zabuza as the copy ninja, and with a swift motion, he instructed his team to guard Tazuna while he faced Zabuza alone. He lifted his forehead protector, revealing a red eye adorned with 3 black asterisks. The battle commenced with a speed that left the genin struggling to keep up. Trees trembled, and the sound of clashing metal echoed through the clearing. A sudden burst of wind swept through, and the lake erupted, sending a massive pillar of water into the air. In an instant, Zabuza appeared before the genin, his blade aimed directly at them. Naruto quickly executed the shadow clone jutsu, creating a dozen clones that leaped at the blade, kunai drawn. This diversion allowed him to push Tazuna to the ground just in time, but the blade tore through the clones and struck Naruto, leaving him injured. Naruto clutched his arm, which was severely wounded. Sasuke, determined to help, launched a fire-style technique, sending a barrage of fireballs toward Zabuza, who melted into a puddle of water. Ino, kneeling beside Naruto, began to heal his wound, though progress was slow. She looked around and spotted the real Zabuza holding Kakashi captive in a sphere of water in the middle of the lake. Naruto, filled with determination, urged Ino to focus on defending Tazuna while he and Sasuke worked together to save Kakashi. With a nod from Naruto, Ino connected the minds of Squad 7, sharing their thoughts and strategies. Naruto charged forward, throwing shuriken and kunai at Zabuza, who raised a wall of water to block the attack. Sasuke followed up with 2 consecutive fireballs, creating a cloud of steam. Zabuza's eyes widened as he narrowly dodged a windmill shuriken that whizzed past him. He turned to the genin, laughing at their efforts, but then realized Naruto had vanished. Just as he ducked, a kick sliced through the air above him. Kakashi seized the moment, unleashing a powerful fireball that struck Zabuza's side, sending him skidding across the ground near Ino and Sasuke. Sasuke quickly threw kunai at the rolling ninja, but they were intercepted by needles from the nearby brush. The trio turned to see a girl in a blue kimono and a mist hunter ninja mask. She expressed her intention to take Zabuza away peacefully, but Kakashi refused, stating that Zabuza was a dangerous opponent they could not let go. The girl insisted, explaining that she had come to inform them that their mission to eliminate the bridge builder had changed. She revealed that Gato had hired another ninja for a lower price, which posed a new threat. Zabuza, intrigued, questioned the girl about this new information. She revealed that she had overheard Gato discussing the other hired ninja, who was an S-rank missing nin. Zabuza contemplated the implications, realizing that there were few S-rankers willing to work for such a low price without a hidden agenda. He turned to Kakashi, suggesting that if they had no reason to fight, they could instead join forces to protect the bridge builder. Kakashi agreed, proposing that Tazuna would likely compensate Zabuza for his assistance. Tazuna, taken aback by the suggestion, paled, while Ino and Naruto exchanged grins. A sly expression crossed Zabuza's face as he accepted the proposal, indicating that he wouldn't mind helping after all. Chapter 5. Awakening to... The journey to Wave after Zabuza joined them was smooth. Haku was a pretty girl with straight black hair and a kind, though sometimes emotionless, face. They arrived at Tazuna's home and met his daughter Tsunami, a beautiful woman in her 30s with straight black hair, and his grandson Inari, an 8-year-old boy whose shaggy black hair was hidden by a bucket hat. That night, while Tsunami prepared dinner, Inari confronted the Leaf Ninjas, expressing his anger at them for opposing Gato before running off. Sasuke wondered what was wrong with the boy, believing he should be grateful for their help. Tsunami explained that Gato had killed Inari's father, his adopted father, Kaiza, who had saved him from drowning. Kaiza had been a significant role model for Inari, but when Gato began his takeover, Kaiza stood up for the village and was brutally punished in front of everyone. Tsunami's eyes filled with tears as she shared that Inari had not been the same since. Naruto felt a pang of understanding and decided to follow after the young boy. Tsunami attempted to stop him, but Haku volunteered to go, urging Tsunami to enjoy her meal. Kakashi nodded in agreement, reassuring Tsunami that they knew what they were doing. Naruto opened the door to Inari's room and found the boy crying on the bed. He approached and sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his back. He expressed that while he couldn't fully understand the pain of losing a father, he believed that Inari's current behavior wouldn't make his father proud. Inari, frustrated, challenged Naruto's understanding of loss. Naruto shared his own story of loss, revealing that his father had died sacrificing himself to defeat a demon fox on the day he was born. He explained how he had been raised by Kakashi and how he chose to honor his parents by striving to be the best ninja he could be, aspiring to become Hokage, the leader of his village. Inari's tears began to dry as Haku entered the room, reinforcing Naruto's words. She reminded Inari that his father had died protecting what he loved and that he should honor his legacy by standing up for his village instead of succumbing to despair. Left alone, Inari reflected on their words while the two ninjas returned to the dining room to eat. Kakashi observed Tazuna's efforts to build the bridge from a distance. Meanwhile, Zabuza was training the genin on a beach about 2 kilometers away, instructing them on water walking. Zabuza criticized Ino for not using enough chakra and Sasuke for failing to maintain stable chakra levels. Suddenly, Naruto launched into the air after overexerting himself, joking about his predicament. Haku chimed in, teasing Zabuza about why he was stuck with the task of training them. An hour later, Ino had nearly perfected her water walking, while Sasuke and Naruto were also making impressive progress. Zabuza mused to himself that the genin were not too bad, and Haku smiled at their determination. Naruto, feeling competitive, was determined to outdo Sasuke, who was performing well. Sasuke, in turn, acknowledged Naruto's progress, surprised that a non-Uchiha could keep up with him. As the training continued, Zabuza watched the genin push themselves to run on the water without falling. Suddenly, Naruto and Sasuke clashed with kunai, creating ripples in the water as they jumped back. Naruto executed a water jutsu, sending a stream of water towards Sasuke, who was impressed by Naruto's power. Haku quickly intervened, using her ice jutsu to create a wall that blocked Naruto's attack, though it still managed to penetrate slightly. Zabuza, however, was not pleased and reminded them that he was training weapons, not just children. He slammed his sword into the ground, creating a crater nearby to emphasize his point. Naruto questioned the purpose of their training, believing they should focus on fighting rather than just walking on water. In response, Zabuza sent Naruto flying back onto the water with a slap. However, Naruto quickly regained his balance, landing on the water and sliding back. Feeling a surge of determination, Naruto's demeanor shifted, and he proposed that he, Sasuke, and Ino show Zabuza just how much they had improved. A shadowy aura surrounded him, darkening the water beneath him. Ino, sensing a change in Naruto, approached cautiously, recalling a time when she had seen him like this before, when Kakashi had not returned from a mission on time. Flashback start. A 9-year-old Ino had rushed from the academy doors as soon as the last bell rang, worried about Naruto, who hadn't shown up in 3 days. She ran across Konoha, determined to find him. It took her exactly 15 minutes to reach her friend's house. When she arrived, she knocked and waited. There was no response. She knocked again, but still nothing. After several more attempts, Ino took a few steps back and ran at the door, slamming her shoulder into it with all her might. She bounced off and skidded backward, hitting the ground with a cry of pain. Choji was walking by with Shikamaru and noticed her distress. He approached her, concerned. Ino was in tears, expressing her worries about Naruto not being at school. She explained how she had come to check on him, but when he didn't answer, she had tried to break down the door and now she was hurt and scared something had happened to him. Shikamaru placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, telling her not to worry. He mentioned that they were there for the same reason and that Choji had been learning his clan jutsu. Choji closed his bag of chips and stepped forward, ready to help. He pulled his arm back and shouted, using his jutsu to expand his fist, which sent the door flying open. As they entered, Ino suddenly fell to her knees, overwhelmed by a dark presence. Her head throbbed painfully, and she cried out. A voice echoed from somewhere inside the house, demanding them to leave. Shikamaru called out to Naruto, identifying themselves as friends who had come to check on him. The voice responded, insisting they leave. Naruto emerged from the shadows, his face twisted in a snarl, his whisker marks darker, and his eyes a deep crimson. He roared again, shaking the entranceway with his powerful voice. Shikamaru formed a hand seal, trying to reach out to Naruto without provoking him further. Choji shouted that whatever Naruto was doing was hurting Ino. Gradually, Naruto's eyes returned to blue, and the darkness around him lightened, easing the pressure on Ino. Ino cautiously approached Naruto, asking him what was wrong. He revealed that Kakashi had not returned as expected, and Anko had warned him not to anticipate good news. Ino rushed forward, wrapping her arms around him, expressing her concern. The atmosphere shifted as the house lit up and Naruto's pupils returned to normal. He embraced Ino, both of them sharing their emotions. As the memory faded, Naruto's frustration boiled over. He charged forward, channeling his chakra with each step, causing the water beneath him to surge. He confronted Zabuza, expressing his anger. Kakashi sensed the ominous presence from earlier and quickly intervened, creating a shadow clone to block Naruto's advance. Kakashi directed Haku, Ino, and Sasuke to guard the bridge builder while he faced Zabuza. Zabuza insisted he could handle Naruto alone, but Kakashi warned him that Naruto was tapping into the Nine Tails' power. As Naruto unleashed his strength, the water around him erupted, creating waves. Zabuza attempted to restrain him with water dragons, but Kakashi intervened, using electricity to disrupt the attack. Naruto roared in response, releasing a wave of chakra that obliterated Zabuza's dragons. Kakashi realized that Naruto's anger was unusual for him, especially towards his teachers. Zabuza, stunned by Naruto's power, recognized that this young ninja was not to be underestimated. As Naruto charged again, Kakashi tried to reach him, but the boy's fury was overwhelming. Zabuza unleashed a powerful jutsu, creating a cyclone of water aimed at Naruto. In response, Naruto inhaled deeply and countered with a wind technique, resulting in a massive explosion that sent waves crashing in all directions. Kakashi caught Naruto as he regained control, relieved that the boy was no longer under the Nine-Tails' influence. Kakashi instructed Zabuza to rest while he sent Sasuke to assist with guarding Tsunami and Inari. Zabuza, too exhausted to argue, simply acknowledged Kakashi's orders. In a dark room, a man in a black robe adorned with red clouds expressed his dissatisfaction with the situation, revealing plans to eliminate Naruto. Another man in a mask stepped back, having proven Naruto's identity as a demon. The robed figure left, vowing to take out Namikaze Naruto. He could be a threat. As the door closed, the masked man fell to his knees, a slash appearing on his throat, and blood began to pool around him. A couple of days passed, and Naruto and Sasuke had both mastered the water walking exercise while Ino trained in taijutsu with Haku. Zabuza was still recovering from chakra exhaustion, resting while looking after Tsunami and Inari. Kakashi called out from the bridge to the water below, instructing Naruto and Sasuke to guard Tazuna. Naruto grumbled under his breath and ran up one of the bridge's legs, while Sasuke walked up calmly. Kakashi mentioned he needed to investigate something and instructed them to take Tazuna and run if anything happened, ensuring Ino and Haku were with them. Naruto expressed his desire to learn the Shunshin Jutsu, while Sasuke ordered him to create some shadow clones. Naruto questioned why he should listen to Sasuke, asserting that he was the team leader. Ino appeared on the bridge, followed by Haku, urging Naruto to listen to Sasuke. She sensed 4 chakra signatures, one of which rivaled Kakashi's. Naruto quickly assumed a serious demeanor, crossing his fingers and creating 30 shadow clones. He instructed Sasuke and Ino to take Tazuna and run, while he prepared for battle with kunai in each hand. Suddenly, a boy Naruto's age appeared on the bridge, sweat dripping from his unusually large eyebrows. He had black hair styled in a bowl cut and wore a green jumpsuit with orange leg warmers, along with a red leaf forehead protector around his waist. He exclaimed that he had beaten Gai-sensei to the bridge. Naruto questioned whether he meant Might Gai, the leaf jonin. The boy confirmed it, introducing himself as a member of Gai's genin squad, Team 9. A girl named Tenten soon joined them, scolding the boy, Lee, for his antics. She had brown hair tied in 2 buns and wore a cheapao blouse with blue pants. Lee laughed, dismissing Tenten's concerns, while she expressed her frustration at being paired with him. 2 more ninja appeared. One resembled an older version of Lee but wore a flak jacket, and the other was a Hyuga with colorless eyes and long black hair. Naruto greeted Gai enthusiastically, surprised to see them. Gai explained that Kakashi had requested help from a more experienced squad. Ino informed Gai that they needed assistance, as Gato had hired an S-rank missing nin to eliminate Tazuna before he completed the bridge. Gai responded with enthusiasm, declaring that they had the full support of Team Gai. Lee echoed Gai's excitement, praising him. Kakashi raced from the bridge, picking up on Gai's scent and knowing his rival would arrive in time to prevent disaster. However, he also detected another scent, Itachi Uchihas. Kakashi recalled the last time he had heard about Itachi, who had tragically murdered his clan. He hurried toward Itachi's scent, but it was too late to avoid the confrontation. Kakashi cursed himself for teaching Itachi a specific wind-style jutsu. He called out, "Lightning Blade," covering his hand in lightning as he charged toward Itachi, shattering the ground beneath him. In moments, he faced his former ANBU teammate, the black-haired Uchiha advancing with kunai in each hand, his leaf headband scratched through and his black cloak billowing with red clouds that shimmered. Kakashi prepared for Itachi's genjutsu, knowing it wouldn't work easily. They clashed, the sound of metal ringing out as Kakashi was pushed back by Itachi's glowing kunai. Itachi greeted Kakashi, acknowledging the time that had passed since they last met. Kakashi responded, flipping his hands to reveal his own kunai, hoping Itachi had been practicing. Their battle intensified, the air crackling with energy as they exchanged blows. Itachi instructed Kisame, a blue-skinned man with gills and sharp teeth, to head to the bridge. Kisame complied, leaving Kakashi to fend for himself. Kakashi, realizing the odds were against him, began to slash faster, hoping for a lucky hit. Itachi warned him that they would meet again at the bridge, then unleashed a powerful gust of wind that sent Kakashi flying. As Naruto became acquainted with Guy's team, Kisame appeared, pulling a large sword from seemingly nowhere. He announced himself as Kisame Hoshigaki, the monster of the hidden mist, and declared he was there for the Jinchuriki. Guy stepped forward, demanding to know who Kisame was. Guy recognized the sword, Samahata, and instructed everyone to stay behind him. Guy engaged Kisame, catching his downward slash with nunchucks and retaliating with a powerful kick that sent Kisame toward the edge of the bridge. In a flash, Guy appeared in front of Kisame, launching him high into the air before delivering a decisive axe kick that sent Kisame crashing down into the water below. Guy entrusted Naruto with the responsibility of leading the team. Guy shouted for his team to take Tazuna to a secure area while he faced Kisame, who had just leaped back onto the bridge. Kisame grinned, expressing his eagerness to engage in battle. Haku, donning her mask, prepared to assist Guy, but Naruto urged her to return to safety, insisting that Guy could handle himself. Reluctantly, Haku complied and ran back to the land, while Lee picked up Tazuna and followed the rest of the genin. Their progress was halted by a formidable figure. Itachi looked down at the group, recognizing Haku as Zabuza's apprentice. He expressed regret at the necessity of having to eliminate her to complete his mission. In an instant, Haku was sent flying as Itachi executed a swift movement, taking her place. Kakashi's voice rang out as he appeared beside Itachi, delivering a powerful kick that sent him skidding across the ground. He ordered Naruto to evacuate everyone and to summon Zabuza to the bridge for assistance. Itachi retaliated by striking Kakashi, reminding him not to forget about him. Kakashi revealed his Sharingan, declaring his intent to go all out against Itachi. He performed hand seals, unleashing a torrent of water that formed into drills aimed at Itachi. In response, Itachi created a stone wall to absorb the attack and countered with wind bullets that Kakashi met with a fireball, resulting in a fierce clash. As the battle intensified, Naruto's clones joined the fray, launching a barrage of water and wind attacks at Itachi. The Uchiha stumbled back, acknowledging Naruto's skill with shadow clones. Kakashi noted that Naruto had helped him maintain his sanity after Minato's death, but Itachi insisted on capturing Naruto before he became too powerful. Kakashi noticed Guy flying by, holding a blue-skinned man, and warned that Guy had opened the Gate of Wonder. Zabuza appeared beside Kakashi, expressing his desire to confront Itachi. As Zabuza attacked, Itachi countered with a massive fireball that scorched Zabuza's torso. A kunai aimed at Zabuza was halted by a wall of ice created by Haku, who stood protectively with Team 7 behind her, vowing to avenge her precious person. Ino apologized to Kakashi, stating that Guy's team was protecting Tazuna and his family, and they would assist him. Sasuke, filled with rage, charged at Itachi, vowing to avenge their clan. As he unleashed a lightning-infused kick, Itachi deftly countered, sending Sasuke flying. Naruto and Ino coordinated their attacks, creating a circle of thorns around Itachi while launching wind bullets. Haku summoned ice birds, but Itachi swiftly cut through them. As he rushed Haku, Kakashi intervened, launching Itachi into the air. Sasuke followed up with a powerful kick, leaving deep cuts on Itachi. Despite their combined efforts, Itachi managed to evade their attacks and countered with precision. He struck Haku, leaving her unconscious, prompting Naruto to shout her name in despair. Kakashi unleashed lightning wolves toward Itachi, but he easily dispersed them, sending Kakashi flying. Naruto rushed to Kakashi's side, finding him unconscious but alive. Itachi appeared before Naruto, delivering a harsh blow and capturing him. As he prepared to leave, he summoned a crow with his blood, instructing it to inform Kisame of his departure. Sasuke, fueled by determination, activated his Sharingan and confronted Itachi, delivering a powerful kick to his brother's gut. He managed to grab Naruto and leap back, determined to protect him at all costs. Naruto woke up with a start, his determination clear as he palmed two kunai and charged toward Itachi. Sasuke, fueled by anger, slashed wildly, but Itachi effortlessly dodged each attack. Ino rushed to Haku's side, her hands glowing green as she worked to close her fellow kunoichi's wounds, urging her to pull through. As Naruto stirred, he witnessed Itachi deliver a powerful knee to Sasuke's face, breaking his brother's wrist in a single, fluid motion. Sasuke was thrown aside, colliding with Ino and interrupting her healing jutsu. Anger surged within Naruto as he saw his friend in pain, red chakra beginning to seep from his pores. His nails elongated, and his eyes turned a fierce red. Itachi quickly closed the distance, appearing behind Naruto and knocking him out with a swift elbow to the head. However, just as Itachi reached for him again, Naruto rose, his eyes now black and his hair a striking blood red. He examined himself, realizing the power he possessed, and declared his intent to practice on Itachi. The demon within him surged forward, blitzing Itachi and delivering a knee to his chest, causing him to cough. Itachi recognized he had to escalate the battle and released his chakra, calling out a powerful technique. Black flames enveloped Naruto, but the demon, now identified as Kurama, laughed mockingly, claiming that weak flames would not harm him. Kurama unleashed his own attack, creating 7 green fireballs that he shot toward Itachi. Itachi dodged the fireballs, but they still burned him. He activated his genjutsu, trapping Kurama in a twisted illusion where he stabbed at the demon. Kurama, however, laughed, revealing his true power as 9 blood-red tails emerged, slapping Itachi away and breaking the genjutsu. Kurama taunted Itachi, claiming dominance and preparing to strike with his dark aura transformed into twin daggers. As he charged, Itachi countered with his black flames, engulfing Kurama and causing him to scream in pain. Itachi then trapped the demon in his genjutsu world, intending to inflict 3 days of torment. Moments later, the red aura receded from Naruto, leaving him with purple eyes and orange hair, though his whisker marks remained darkened. He felt a surge of strength and thanked Itachi for waking him up, ready to confront his opponent without the demon's influence. Sasuke, standing beside him with a kunai in hand, offered his support, knowing Naruto needed help. Naruto smirked and asked about Haku's condition, keeping his focus on Itachi. Ino confirmed that Haku was stable and rushed to check on Zabuza, knowing they might need his assistance. Naruto dismissed Kurama's offer for more power, determined to face Itachi on his own. With a shared resolve, Naruto and Sasuke charged at the weakened Itachi. Sasuke activated his jutsu while Naruto created 3 shadow clones. They launched a coordinated attack, each clone striking at different angles, but Itachi's Sharingan spun, creating a protective barrier that pushed Naruto back and nearly injured Sasuke. Itachi revealed his Susanoo, the ultimate ability of the Sharingan, as a large construct formed around him, wielding a sealing blade. Just as the sword swung toward Naruto, Kakashi intervened with his own Mangekyo Sharingan, disrupting Itachi's attack and forcing him to retreat. As Itachi vanished, Kakashi collapsed from exhaustion. Naruto rushed to his side but stumbled, hitting the ground hard. Ino hurried over, concerned for her friend, finding him injured and battered. Sasuke reassured her, noting that Naruto had the Kyuubi's healing abilities and would recover in time. He then expressed gratitude to Kakashi, vowing to grow stronger to avenge his clan. Weeks passed, and peace returned as the bridge was rebuilt. Zabuza and Haku departed, thanking the group for their help. Naruto contributed to the reconstruction with his clones, while Sasuke and Ino trained alongside Guy's squad, and Kakashi focused on recovering from his intense battle. Lee was energetically engaging Sasuke, skillfully maneuvering around him and sending the junior genin flying with ease. Lee proclaimed that while Sasuke was indeed talented, he too was a genius, one who relied on hard work. With a swift knee to Sasuke's midsection, Lee sent him soaring into the air before leaping up and executing a powerful axe kick that brought Sasuke back down to the ground. Guy announced Lee as the winner, praising his student for a great performance. He also commended Sasuke, noting that not many fresh genin could keep up with Lee for that long in a taijutsu spar. Lee expressed his eagerness to spar with Sasuke again, who, still catching his breath, agreed that next time would be different, as he would be faster. Meanwhile, Ino was practicing a new clan technique known as the Astral Clone Jutsu against Tenten. This technique created clones that were invisible to everyone except the enemy, allowing Ino to create the perfect diversion for a sneak attack. However, Ino struggled to erase her presence, resulting in Tenten hitting her with shuriken repeatedly. Frustrated, Ino lamented her lack of progress. Tenten reassured her, suggesting they explore other uses for the technique, such as gathering and transferring information. Ino agreed and activated the jutsu, creating 3 intangible and invisible clones. Both teams departed from the Land of Waves 2 days after the bridge's completion. Tazuna had named the bridge after Naruto, believing that as Naruto gained fame, so too would the bridge. Inari, inspired by Tazuna, decided to follow in his footsteps and become a bridge builder. Guy praised Naruto's youthful spirit as he recounted his fight against Itachi, omitting the part about being possessed by the Kyuubi to keep it private. Ino, tired of hearing the same story, urged Naruto to come up with something new. Sasuke, meanwhile, was sharpening his father's kunai, asking Kakashi if anyone in the village could teach him swordsmanship for its extended reach. Kakashi, distracted by his book, mentioned he could teach Sasuke sometime, reminding him to address him as Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke also expressed his need to improve his genjutsu skills, feeling that Itachi was too skilled in that area. Kakashi reassured him that he would reach Itachi's level soon, but reminded him that Itachi possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan, a powerful form of the Sharingan that came at a great cost. Ino reflected on the sadness of Itachi's past, while the journey continued with Naruto, Guy, and Lee sharing jokes and stories, filling the silence. Upon arriving at the village, the teams reported to the Hokage about their mission. The Hokage acknowledged their success and informed them they would be compensated as if it were an A-rank mission. Naruto, however, had something else to discuss. After the others were dismissed, he spoke privately with the Hokage, expressing his concern that the Kyuubi's seal might be breaking. He recounted feeling its power during the battle on the bridge, where it had taken over his body and introduced itself as Kurama. Naruto described Kurama's incredible speed and powerful jutsu, including a technique that absorbed flames and another that created green fireballs. He explained how Kurama had managed to break free from Itachi's genjutsu the first time, but was caught the second time, allowing Naruto to regain control. Determined to become strong enough to face Itachi on his own, Naruto expressed his fear that someone was after him. The Hokage reassured Naruto that he would arrange for someone to train him, a person who had been inquiring about Naruto for some time but had been away on a mission. He promised to summon this individual back to the village. Naruto realized that the Hokage was referring to his godfather, Ero Sennin, who he had only met once on his 7th birthday, when the white-haired man had visited his home after Naruto's training session with Kakashi. He had left Kakashi to handle the cleanup while he went home to rest. The large man approached Naruto, ruffling his hair with a broad smile. He remarked on Naruto's height, noting that he was the shortest in his class. Naruto, rubbing his eye, questioned the man's identity, mentioning that his brother was the strongest ninja in the village and was currently cleaning the training ground. He warned that if the man didn't leave, his brother would be furious upon returning. As he opened the door, he offered the man a chance to leave without telling his brother, assuming it was an accident since he appeared to be drunk. Just then, Kakashi entered the room, greeting Jiraiya with a casual, "Yo." Naruto's eyes widened in surprise as he recognized Jiraiya and rushed to hug his leg, barely reaching the man's waist despite his spiky hair. He excitedly asked if Jiraiya could share stories about his father when he was young. Jiraiya laughed and teased Naruto about being nice, suggesting they go out for breakfast at Ichiraku's in the morning to talk. Naruto eagerly reminded him that it was his birthday the next day and invited him to the festival that evening. Jiraiya smiled, though there was a hint of sadness in his eyes, and said he would try to stay as long as he could since he was a busy ninja. Naruto expressed his hope that Jiraiya could make it, running up the stairs while shouting that he expected a present the next morning. Kakashi's eyes widened as he realized he had forgotten to buy Naruto a gift. The two men exchanged glances and hurried out the door. The next morning, Naruto woke up to find Jiraiya and Kakashi waiting for him, each holding a wrapped gift. Kakashi's present was wrapped in blue paper adorned with orange foxes, while Jiraiya's was similarly sized but covered in green paper with toads. Kakashi greeted Naruto with a smile, while Jiraiya acknowledged him as he turned 7. Naruto rushed to the kitchen, sitting at the table as the men placed the gifts before him. He eagerly tore into Kakashi's gift, revealing a box labeled, "Danger. Explosive." Inside, however, were vouchers for a year's supply of Ichiraka ramen. Overjoyed, he jumped up to hug Kakashi before moving on to Jiraiya's present. As he opened it, he discovered a wallet shaped like a toad and a long kunai with 3 prongs. He named the wallet Gamachan and looked curiously at the kunai, asking why it was shaped differently. Jiraiya explained that it belonged to Naruto's father and was used with a special jutsu. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise, and he felt emotional at the connection to his father, asking if he could learn that jutsu too. Jiraiya informed him that the kunai had blood seals, meaning only his father could activate it, but he promised to teach Naruto some sealing techniques when he was older. Determined, Naruto expressed his desire to become an incredible ninja one day. Jiraiya ruffled his hair and suggested they use the ramen vouchers, leading Naruto to Ichiraku's where they devoured 30 bowls together. Later, Jiraiya took Naruto to the hot springs, where he taught him how to sneak a peek at women, earning the nickname Ero Sennin. They attended the festival together, where Jiraiya gifted Naruto an ANBU-style fox mask, which he wore proudly around his neck. The following day, Jiraiya brought Naruto to a training ground and asked if there was anything specific he wanted to learn. After some thought, Naruto requested to learn a cool jutsu like his father's. Jiraiya agreed and prepared some balloons and rubber ball to teach him the basics of a powerful technique. He demonstrated how to pop a water balloon using chakra, followed by a rubber ball, and explained the final step of doing both without bursting a regular balloon. He promised to show Naruto what it should look like next time he visited. As Naruto reminisced about those moments, he proudly displayed Gamachan, his wallet, to the Hokage, expressing his readiness to learn that jutsu. He thanked Sarutobi for bringing Ero Sennin back, revealing how much he missed him. The Hokage shared that he felt the same way. Sasuke returned home, unpacking his mission gear before showering and changing into civilian clothes. He donned a black shirt featuring the Uchiha clan symbol and blue pants, leaving his headband on the bed. After placing his wallet in his pocket, he strolled through Konoha, browsing shops before heading to his favorite gear store, Tentetsu's Gear. The shop was tucked away from the main shopping district but was known for having the best equipment in the village. The owner, Tenkuro Tentetsu, was a large man with muscular arms and a prominent scar across his right eye, which was always closed. His brown hair was tied in a high ponytail, and he was typically seen wearing a brown blacksmith's apron over fire-resistant clothing. Sasuke entered the shop, announcing his presence. Tenkuro's gruff voice responded from the back, indicating he would be there shortly. Sasuke browsed the swords, noting their sharpness and sleekness, but found them to be average. He needed something exceptional. When Tenkuro emerged and spotted him, he remarked that the swords were not what Sasuke wanted. Sasuke confirmed Tenkuro's assumption, expressing his desire for a sword made of chara metal. Tenkuro's eyes widened in surprise, cautioning that such a sword would be quite expensive, possibly costing as much as a house. Sasuke reassured him, stating he had inherited enough money from the clan to afford it. Tenkuro suggested that it would be wise for Sasuke to learn how to use a sword before making such a significant purchase. He offered Sasuke a sword on the house, promising to create a specialized sword for him at half price if he proved his swordsmanship skills. Sasuke accepted the offer, noting that Kakashi would be teaching him. Tenkuro handed Sasuke a wakizashi and demonstrated how to fasten it to his belt. He expressed his hope that Sasuke would become a great Uchiha clan head, worthy of a sword that would be passed down through generations. Sasuke smirked, confident that he would not disappoint. He thanked Tenkuro as he left the shop, leaving Tenkuro to return to his work, believing that Sasuke would achieve great things. Ino entered her family's flower shop, calling for her father. He emerged from the greenhouse, inquiring about her mission. Ino shared that it had been quite frightening and that she needed to enhance her training. She requested his assistance with her astral clone jutsu. Inoichi expressed concern but agreed to help her after hearing her story about Naruto and Sasuke's confrontation with Itachi, as well as the near-fatal encounter with Haku and Zabuza. Inoichi was upset that Ino had faced such danger on her first mission but remained supportive, promising to elevate her training. Ino thanked him with a smile, feeling encouraged. Later, Ino called out to Naruto from outside his house, urging him to hurry as Sasuke wanted to speak with them and Kakashi was already at the training ground. When there was no response, Ino grew frustrated and burst into Naruto's room, startling him as he was getting dressed. She felt embarrassed but quickly moved past it. Naruto, still groggy, noted the broken door and asked Ino to pick it up. She walked away, flustered. He decided to fix the door later, realizing he was late for training. After grabbing his jacket, he rushed to catch up with Ino, apologizing for making her come get him. He explained that he had been training hard with Ero Sennin the night before. Ino reassured him that it was no trouble but reminded him to be more responsible with his time, as they were expecting an important announcement from Kakashi. Naruto speculated that it would likely be about their eligibility for the Chunin exams, revealing that he had been observing the Hokage's office when the topic was discussed. Ino cautioned him that spying could be considered treason but acknowledged that Sasuke would expect them to participate in the exams, especially since he wanted to fight Naruto. Naruto laughed, confident in his training and abilities, proclaiming himself the best. Ino calmly warned him that if he started his usual catchphrase again, she would be forced to take action. They both laughed as they arrived at the training ground, where Kakashi was already present, assisting Sasuke with his sword stances. Kakashi acknowledged their arrival, hinting that he knew they had been spying on the office. Naruto confirmed that they were indeed discussing the Chunin exams, emphasizing his belief in their potential as Chunin material. "Team over there, not too sure yet?" He laughed as Sasuke threw a shuriken that landed right in front of his toes. Kakashi scolded Sasuke, reminding him that he couldn't threaten everyone to get what he wanted. Sasuke scoffed, saying he only threatened the really dumb ones, flashing a smirk at Naruto. Kakashi, with a small smile of reminiscence, asked if they wanted to participate since they all knew the secret. He instructed them to head to the academy and register once training was done. The group nodded in agreement. Kakashi then told Naruto that since he had been working on Fuinjutsu all night, he should take a break and focus on his taijutsu, specifically the Hiraishin style, rather than the Dragon Ball style. Naruto exclaimed that the Dragon Ball movies were awesome and he wanted to use the Kamehameha one day. Ino pointed out that it was just a movie and people couldn't fly or yell to gain power. Naruto retorted, questioning how Son Goku did it. Sasuke chimed in, suggesting that Naruto should consider the concept of special effects. Kakashi then directed Ino to work on either ninjutsu or taijutsu, as her genjutsu was already at an acceptable level. He encouraged her to focus on her affinity for earth and water jutsu, suggesting that one of Naruto's clones could assist her. He also mentioned that he would continue to work with Sasuke on his kenjutsu. Naruto created 3 clones to help Ino with her water ninjutsu, knowing quite a few techniques from his week of training with Jiraiya. He then made 20 clones of his own, instructing them to work on taijutsu. Half of them would try to copy moves from Dragon Ball, while the other half, along with him, would practice the Hiraishin style. The clones nodded and paired off to begin sparring. As Naruto, Ino, and Sasuke walked into the academy, it was time for the Chunin exams. They noticed a group of genin talking to 2 others in front of room 303, where they were supposed to meet. Ino whispered to her team that they were on the 2nd floor, and the stairs had been hidden with a genjutsu. Sasuke scoffed, suggesting it was a pretest to weed out the less capable genin. Naruto recognized the 2 genin as Kotetsu and Izumo, the gate guards, recalling his previous pranks on them. He proposed they go around and use the far flight of stairs instead. Ino agreed, especially since the main stairs were blocked by genjutsu. Sakura's voice rang out, calling for Naruto and Ino. Behind her were Shino and Kiba, along with Akamaru, Kiba's loyal white pup. Naruto turned around, smiling as he greeted Sakura and asked how genin life had been. She excitedly shared that Kurenai had taught her a lot of genjutsu and that her taijutsu skills had improved significantly. Sakura claimed she was probably the best in their generation at genjutsu. Ino, not to be outdone, insisted that she was the best as well, leading to a playful taunt from Sakura about proving it in the tournament portion of the exam. Shino approached Naruto, greeting him with a handshake and expressing his hope that Naruto had been training hard. Naruto laughed, assuring Shino that he never slacked off and playfully challenged him to keep up. Shino expressed his eagerness to meet Naruto in the ring for a friendly challenge. Kiba, feeling left out, reminded Shino that he was also supposed to be his rival. Shino explained that while Kiba was his rival, Naruto was his best friend, as he had been the first to accept him despite his clan's unique traits. Kiba growled, feeling competitive but acknowledged that he couldn't compete with that bond. Naruto laughed, pointing out that Kiba would have to get through Sasuke first, who was not as weak as he appeared. Sasuke confidently declared that it would be him and Naruto in the finals. Suddenly, a green blur burst into the group, with Rock Lee enthusiastically proclaiming that he and Neji would clash to determine the most youthful genin that year. Naruto shouted back that he would defeat Lee, confident in his new ninjutsu taught by Jiraiya. Shikamaru's lazy voice drifted over, commenting on Naruto's enthusiasm. Choji, beside him, offered chips to Naruto and Ino, who happily accepted. Naruto then struck a flamboyant pose with Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji, drawing laughter from the group. Hinata giggled at Naruto's antics, prompting him to notice her and ask how training under Asuma-sensei was going. Ino chimed in, teasing Shikamaru and Choji for being lazy. Hinata responded that Asuma-sensei was laid back but had taught her many skills that would help her adapt her gentle fist style when necessary. Hinata mentioned that she knew quite a few long-range jutsu and some genjutsu. Shikamaru cautioned her not to reveal too much, reminding her that they were still facing enemies. Neji and Tenten approached the group, with Neji stating that they would not be accompanying the rookies to the exam room. He briefly focused on Hinata before turning his gaze to Naruto and Sasuke, declaring his intention to win the tournament before continuing on his way. Naruto commented on Neji's attitude, comparing him to Sasuke, and dodged a kick from Sasuke as he spoke. Hinata explained that Neji had always been cold, suggesting he held a grudge against the main branch of the Hyuga family. Shikamaru inquired about the reason for this, and Hinata speculated that it might be related to Neji's father's passing nearly 10 years ago, a loss he had not come to terms with. Shikamaru found the situation troublesome and suggested they head to the exam. Naruto proposed forming a team alliance, inviting Shikamaru and Shino to join. After a moment of thought, Shikamaru agreed, provided his team was on board. Choji expressed his approval while munching on potato chips, and Hinata and Shino also agreed, with Shino indicating he had hoped for such a collaboration. Sakura noted that with Naruto and Sasuke as strong fighters, Shikamaru's intelligence, and Shino and Kiba's tracking skills, they formed an ideal team. In a light-hearted manner, Ino teased Sakura about her contribution, to which Sakura confidently replied that her genjutsu skills were valuable. Shikamaru, finding the situation troublesome, led the way to the exam room. Upon entering, they were met with glares from older genin, mostly from the Leaf Village, but also from the Rock and Sand villages, along with a few from the Rain Village and a single team from the newly emerged Sound Village. Ino remarked on the target they had become as rookies, and Shikamaru agreed, while Choji continued to snack. Naruto, feeling the tension, challenged the older genin, questioning how many had faced Itachi Uchiha and lived to tell the tale. His boldness caused a stir, and Sasuke reprimanded him for his outburst. Ino reminded Naruto to take the situation seriously, as they were indeed a target. With a newfound determination, Naruto prepared himself, tying an ANBU-style fox mask around his neck, signaling his readiness. The other rookies, inspired by his seriousness, felt confident they would excel in the exam. As they gathered their thoughts, a teen with white hair and glasses approached them, introducing himself as Kabuto Yuki. He acknowledged their bravery and noted that they were the largest group of rookies he had ever seen. Shikamaru sensed something off about him, and the group silently communicated their distrust. Kabuto offered to share advice about the exam layout and information on their competitors, claiming he could reveal who was favored to win. Sasuke, wanting to assess Kabuto's intentions, asked for information on potential threats. Kabuto smirked and laid out a deck of cards, detailing the strengths of several competitors, starting with Sasuke Uchiha. He highlighted Sasuke's accomplishments and skills, followed by Naruto's impressive lineage and training under notable figures. He then spoke of Neji Hyuga, emphasizing his prowess and the mystery surrounding his recent training. Sasuke pressed for more information, and Kabuto continued with details about Kuratsuchi from IWA, noting her impressive mission record and her unique lava release Kekii Genkai. Sakura expressed her surprise at the power of lava release, drawing a comparison to the first Hokage's would release. Kabuto confirmed the strength of Kuratsuchi's abilities while hinting at the potential of her cousin, Byakuchi, though he lacked concrete data on him. The rookies listened intently, realizing the challenges they would face in the upcoming exam. Kabuto informed the group about Gaara of the Sand, noting that he was the son of the fourth Kazekage and had completed numerous missions without sustaining any injuries. The card he flipped displayed a pale boy with red hair and dark rings around his green eyes, adorned with a red tattoo that read, "Love," on his forehead. Ino expressed disbelief at Gaara's impressive record, while Kabuto jokingly considered dropping out of the exam himself. Shikamaru inquired about how many times Kabuto had taken the test, to which Kabuto replied that this was his 7th attempt. A large man with scars on his face, wearing a Leaf Village bandana and a black trench coat, boomed for everyone to take their seats. He introduced himself as Ibiki Marino, the proctor of the first exam, and warned the genin that cheating would result in disqualification for their entire team. A genin from AIM protested the unfairness of the situation, but one of the chunin quickly silenced him, reminding everyone that fairness was not a concern for ninjas. Ibiki then instructed his aides to distribute the tests, announcing that they would have 1 hour to complete the written exam. As soon as the tests were handed out, Naruto flipped over his paper and felt a wave of panic wash over him. Unsure of how to answer the questions, he realized he needed to connect with Ino and Sakura to avoid getting caught. He used chakra to sharpen his nail and discreetly carved a message into his pencil before tossing it toward Shino, hoping he would pick it up. Shino, however, did not notice the pencil land message down. Frustrated, Naruto pulled out another pencil, contemplating how to get a message to Ino, who was seated behind him. He devised a plan to use his kunai shadow clone technique to multiply the pencil as he tossed it to his allies in front of him, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Choji, and Hinata, giving them each a chance to pass the message along. As he prepared to execute his plan, Ibiki called out his number, prompting Naruto to respond that he was working on his test. Unfortunately, his pencil slipped and hit Sasuke in the head. Sasuke picked it up, noticed the message, and tossed it to Shino, instructing him to return it to Naruto. This unexpected turn of events allowed Naruto to breathe a sigh of relief. Ino's voice echoed in his mind, sharing the answers from Sakura, while Shikamaru and Sasuke acknowledged Naruto's cleverness. Despite some playful banter, they all focused on completing the test. As the time ticked away, Naruto wrote down the answers, feeling the pressure mount as more teams were eliminated. With only 5 minutes left, Ibiki called time, instructing everyone to put their pencils down. He then announced the 10th question, revealing that a wrong answer would mean remaining a genin forever. Kabuto protested, claiming that the rules allowed for multiple attempts, but Ibiki reminded him that he was not the one who made the rules. As Ibiki offered the chance to leave before hearing the question, a genin from Suna stood up, expressing his inability to face the possibility of never becoming a chunin. His teammates understood and left together, highlighting the weight of the decision that lay ahead for everyone in the room. This happened to another 3 squads, leaving just 30 groups left. Naruto questioned himself about whether he could truly answer such a difficult question. Ino suggested linking them to Sakura again, which would eliminate the risk of making a mistake and allow them to work together. However, Naruto firmly declined, expressing that he couldn't take that chance. He needed to succeed in becoming a chunin to realize his dream of becoming Hokage. With tears in his eyes, he asked Ino to cut the mental link. Ino was taken aback as Naruto severed the connection. He felt remorse for his decision, thinking that he was doing it for her benefit as well. He wanted her to succeed and not tarnish her reputation as a remarkable kunoichi. Just then, one of Shino's bugs landed on him, carrying a pencil. As he turned it over, he read a heartfelt message from Shino, expressing gratitude for Naruto's friendship and urging him to join them in the finals as their leader. Tears welled up in Naruto's eyes as he absorbed the words. Sasuke's message followed, reminding Naruto that despite his foolishness, he was the one Sasuke relied on for support. This made Naruto chuckle, as it was typical of Sasuke to downplay their friendship. Shikamaru's note encouraged him not to give up and even playfully suggested he confess his feelings to Ino. This brought back memories of their time together at the academy, and Naruto was taken aback by the suggestion. Hinata's message struck a chord as well, recalling how Naruto had helped her when she faced bullying and how he had been a source of inspiration for her. Lee's enthusiastic encouragement about not giving up ignited a fire within him. Taking a deep breath, Naruto stood up, declaring that he wouldn't let a mere question deter him from his goal of becoming Hokage. He slammed his hand down on the table, proclaiming that he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, bolstered by the support of his friends. He sat down, glaring at Ibiki, and when no one else stood up, Ibiki confirmed that they had all passed the first test. Naruto was shocked to learn that the 10th question had been about facing the unknown, and everyone had passed by answering yes. It took bravery, not just intelligence or strength, to become a Chunin. Suddenly, the window burst open, and a woman with purple hair and a striking trench coat entered dramatically. She introduced herself as Anko Mitarashi and playfully teased Ibiki about the number of teams present. With a mischievous grin, she announced her intention to eliminate at least half of the participants. The remaining genin followed Anko to the gates of the 44th training ground, known as the Forest of Death due to its many dangers. The forest was vast, surrounded by high fences, and had numerous gates. Anko explained that they would spend the next 5 days there, and those from other villages needed to sign waivers to absolve the organizers of responsibility for any mishaps. Once everyone signed the forms, Anko revealed the task. They needed to collect both a heaven and an earth scroll and reach the tower in the center of the forest. The only rules were not to leave the forest and not to open the scrolls, or they would be disqualified. Each team would send one member to retrieve a scroll, and a Chunin would escort them to their designated gate. Ino connected her mind to her friends, expressing her concern about not being able to cover the entire forest alone. Shino reassured her that he had placed tracker bugs on all of them, and Naruto would lead the way to reunite as soon as possible. If something happened, Shino's bugs could communicate over large distances, allowing them to hurry to his location. Naruto expressed his gratitude to Shino, promising to find everyone as quickly as possible. Shino nodded and joined Sasuke and Choji to retrieve a scroll. Choji hoped they would be placed close to each other as he led Hinata away, while Shikamaru waved them over to the gate they were entering. Kiba reminded Sakura that they needed to leave as well, pointing at Shino, who was walking behind a Chunin. Sakura wished good luck to Ino and Naruto, who waved back as she departed. Naruto and Ino then joined Sasuke at a gate marked with the number. Naruto found it ironic and shared his thoughts aloud. Anko's voice rang out, signaling the start of the exam, and the gates swung open, prompting the teams to rush forward. Naruto took the lead, following Shino's bug, which indicated they should go left around the wall instead of deeper into the forest. Ino suddenly stopped, urging the others not to move forward, as she sensed another group of genin nearby. Naruto and Sasuke quickly positioned themselves on either side of her, discussing their options. Naruto insisted they couldn't afford to delay, especially since they needed a second scroll. Sasuke agreed, unsealing a sword and attaching it to his belt. Ino reluctantly decided to stay back, wanting to protect Shino's bug. As Naruto passed the bug to her, she felt uneasy with the insect crawling on her. Sasuke smirked at Naruto, challenging him to keep up as he dashed forward. Naruto sighed, wishing they could at least be stealthy, and followed closely behind. When they reached the small path, they saw Sasuke engage with 3 genin, swiftly taking one down with a slash. He then used a fire technique, leaving another genin incapacitated. The last one pleaded for mercy, offering his scroll in exchange for safety. Sasuke accepted the scroll but knocked the genin out with the hilt of his sword. Naruto called out to Ino, informing her that the confrontation was over and that two of the genin needed medical attention. Ino expressed her disapproval of Sasuke's harsh methods as she began healing the first genin. Naruto complimented Sasuke's effectiveness despite the brutality. Sasuke explained that the genin were from the Grass Village, allied with IWA, which posed a significant threat to Konoha. Naruto acknowledged the seriousness of the situation, recalling recent political tensions. Ino pointed out that IWA was participating in the exams, suggesting that war was unlikely. After finishing her healing, the group continued to follow Shino's bug. Ino then sensed a strong presence trailing them, indicating that they needed to move quickly to find their teammates. Naruto was shocked to learn that someone had more chakra than him, asserting his own strength. Sasuke darkened at the thought that it might not be a genin at all, recalling previous encounters with Itachi. Naruto insisted they should split up, but both Sasuke and Ino refused to leave him behind. Naruto smiled, realizing he had friends who would stand by him. Ino agreed to send a message to the others, but warned that it would take time. Sasuke drew his sword, ready to stand by Naruto as they prepared for the incoming threat. Just then, Naruto was struck by a kunai, causing him to fall to his knees in pain. A woman from the Grass Village taunted him, questioning Sasuke's strength as she engaged him in combat. Sasuke blocked her attacks but found himself pushed back, feeling the impact of her strikes. He demanded to know her intentions, and she revealed that she was only interested in him. As she launched a series of rapid attacks, Ino, witnessing Sasuke's struggle, decided to intervene. She performed a powerful genjutsu, successfully trapping the woman in its effects. Seizing the opportunity, Sasuke struck, plunging his sword into her shoulder. The woman acknowledged the strength of the genjutsu, barely registering the pain from the sword inches from her face. Ino struggled to comprehend the situation. She had been informed that breaking out of Orochimaru's genjutsu was nearly impossible, and it took all her chakra to attempt it. Slumping against a tree, she felt defeated. Orochimaru, a notorious figure, had Sasuke in a tight grip. He declared his identity, emphasizing that no genin could trap him. Ino gasped at the revelation, recognizing him as the traitor. Sasuke, fueled by determination, retaliated by kicking Orochimaru, forcing him to release his hold. He quickly performed hand seals and unleashed a barrage of fireballs, revealing Orochimaru's true form, a pale man with striking yellow eyes and purple markings. Orochimaru laughed, unfazed by the attack, his tongue flicking out in a serpentine manner. Just then, Naruto's voice echoed as he launched a series of compressed air bullets, striking Orochimaru and nearly knocking him off balance. Furious, Orochimaru retaliated, evading Sasuke's punch and targeting Naruto. He executed a technique that caused Naruto to double over in pain, draining the color from his face. With a sinister tone, Orochimaru turned his attention to Sasuke, expressing a desire to leave him a gift. He leaned in closer, biting Sasuke's neck and leaving a peculiar mark. Sasuke collapsed, unconscious, while Orochimaru placed his sword beside him. Ino, filled with rage, demanded to know what Orochimaru had done. He casually remarked that he had given Sasuke a gift and knocked Naruto out before disappearing. Sakura rushed to support Ino as Shino checked on Naruto. Kiba and Akamaru carefully lifted Sasuke. Ino explained the attack, detailing how Orochimaru had bitten Sasuke and sealed Naruto, leaving them vulnerable. Shino warned them of Orochimaru's ruthless nature and suggested they regroup with Shikamaru's squad. Ino, still feeling weak, accepted a soldier pill from Kiba, which revitalized her. Shino took charge, carrying Naruto, while Kiba hoisted Sasuke onto his shoulder. They set off, determined to find their friends. As they took a break, Ino expressed her frustration at not finding their teammates. Shino's bug indicated that their friends were moving away. Kiba proposed splitting up to search more efficiently, but Ino insisted that Shino accompany them, fearing for their safety. Reluctantly, Shino agreed and led Kiba and Sakura away. Ino concealed Naruto and Sasuke in a nearby cave, casting a genjutsu to disguise it as a sturdy tree. Ino focused on her teammates, concerned about the strange chakra flows she sensed. She pondered the implications of Orochimaru's actions, suspecting he had targeted Naruto for a powerful seal. Suddenly, she overheard voices nearby, realizing they were not alone. Ino prepared to defend her friends as she sensed a chakra buildup. She quickly created a pit trap beneath her opponents, covering it with an illusion. As the genjutsu was released, a kunoichi named Kin revealed herself, accompanied by two others. Ino braced herself for the confrontation, ready to protect her friends at all costs. The other was covered in bandages with a large bundle of straw on his back. He wore the same outfit as Kin, but the second man had a large metal device on his right arm. Ino approached the nearby pool of water, curious about the newcomers. The spiky-haired boy stepped forward and told her not to worry about it. The voice belonged to Zaku, who pointed his hand toward the water, unleashing a powerful burst of air that nearly emptied the pond. Ino noticed a small metal ring in the center of Zaku's palm and smirked, flicking her wrist to send a kunai flying toward him. Zaku found it amusing that she thought it would work. He pointed his palm at the kunai, and another blast of air sent it hurtling back at Ino, knocking her a couple of feet away. Ino yelped as she felt a tug on her hair and turned to see Kin standing behind her, holding a chunk of hair in her hand. Kin had a peculiar smirk as she pulled out a kunai, tracing it lightly against the back of Ino's neck, just enough for Ino to feel a slight sting. Kin expressed her disdain for prissy wannabe kunoichi, like Ino before pulling the blade away and lunging forward, only to be stopped by an elbow to the stomach. Ino relished the moment, smirking as she kicked Kin in the face, sending her flying. However, Zaku interrupted her with another burst of air, sending Ino crashing into a tree. He mocked her, reminding her that she was up against an entire team. With a swift motion, he crossed his arms and unleashed a visible cross of wind. Ino, feeling the impact of Zaku's attack, weakly slapped the ground to raise a wall of earth. The pain in her ribs was intense. Zaku's strength was formidable. She watched helplessly as her wall shattered, debris flying everywhere. Zaku taunted her, challenging her to create a wall strong enough to withstand his next attack. He crossed his arms again and swung them down, sending powerful blades of air that carved trenches in the ground. In a moment of desperation, Ino ran straight through the blades, her form briefly torn apart before reassembling. Zaku instinctively backed away, only to trip and hit his head. Suddenly, Ino unleashed a genjutsu, filling Zaku's mind with echoes of the word worthless. The relentless repetition overwhelmed him, causing him to scream in agony as he felt his sanity slipping away. As Zaku lost consciousness, Dosu laughed, commenting on the spectacle. He reminded Ino that she still had two opponents to deal with. Ino, standing behind him, summoned her astral clone, forming a water blade in her hand. Kin attempted to attack her clone, and Ino felt a pang in her chest as the clone fell. Ino charged forward, slashing at Dosu's back but only managing to cut the straw bundle. Dosu retaliated with a punch to her chest, sending her flying back with a force that felt like it cracked her remaining unbroken bones. Ino reflected on her situation, thinking about her best friend Naruto and feeling a wave of emotion wash over her. Just then, Sasuke's voice broke through the chaos, warning Dosu to leave his teammate alone. Sasuke stood confidently, having discarded the net that had previously restrained him. Dosu turned to face him, but Sasuke quickly overpowered him, twisting his arm behind his back until it hung limply at his side. With a glance at Kin, Sasuke activated his Sharingan, causing her to convulse before collapsing. Exhausted, Ino struggled to crawl toward her teammate but succumbed to the pain and fell unconscious. When she next awoke, she saw Naruto's face above her and instinctively hugged him, knocking him onto his back. Naruto, flustered, apologized for not being there to help her. Ino quickly released him, explaining that she thought she was going to die. Naruto reassured her that he would have helped if he could. Ino informed him about her chakra issues, and Naruto shared that their teams had gathered enough scrolls to enter the tower. He mentioned that Shikamaru's team had defeated another team, leaving them with plenty of scrolls. As they prepared to head out, Ino took the lead alongside Sasuke. She inquired about the strange markings on his body, and Sasuke admitted he wasn't sure but felt a surge of power. He insisted that they keep this information from Kakashi, fearing the implications of Orochimaru's involvement. After an hour, they arrived at the tower and entered. Naruto excitedly suggested they open the scrolls, revealing 2 sealing matrices. Suddenly, Iruka appeared before them, congratulating them on passing the second exam and instructing them to follow him. Iruka led the genin to a large room where 2 groups of Suna genin were already present. One group included Gaara, along with his siblings Temari and Kankuro. Naruto recognized them from Kabuto's data cards and made eye contact with Gaara, who glared back at him. The other Suna group featured a teen with spiky black hair wearing a red long-sleeved shirt and black pants, adorned with a golden scarf that had deep red ember designs. Beside him stood a girl with long black hair in a green one-piece suit, and the last member was a tall boy with sandy brown hair and bandages across his torso, wearing pants that matched his hair. Iruka informed them that they would have to wait until the exams were over and mentioned that there were rooms down the hall for anyone needing rest before walking off. The group remained idle until the second phase of the exams concluded. Sasuke and Ino had made full recoveries, as had the others, but Naruto still had most of his chakra sealed. An announcement echoed throughout the tower, calling all participants to the stadium. The genin gathered in front of Sarutobi and 2 jonin. One appeared sickly and pale, while the other had a sinbon in his mouth and wore a cocky grin. Sarutobi began by congratulating them on passing the second exam but warned that not all would proceed to the final exam, as at least half would be eliminated. Naruto protested, feeling frustrated that their hard work might not pay off. Sarutobi explained that the final exam would be a one-on-one tournament in front of the entire village, with rules limiting the number of competitors to 20. With 33 participants present, they needed to reduce the numbers significantly. He announced that they would randomly generate matches until each had fought once and allowed anyone wishing to withdraw to do so. Kabuto raised his hand to withdraw, and the Hokage noted it before signaling to the sickly-looking jonin, Hokage, who would be the proctor. Hayate instructed everyone to leave the battlefield except for those he called. He clapped his hands, and a box appeared, from which he pulled out 2 slips of paper. The first match was announced as Neji Hyuga versus Hinata Hyuga. The remaining genin moved to a balcony above the battlefield. Naruto and his friends cheered for Hinata as she prepared to face her cousin. Neji, with a disdainful tone, declared that Hinata was destined to lose. As the match began, Neji dashed at Hinata, attacking with incredible speed. Hinata skillfully dodged or blocked each blow. Neji acknowledged her improvement with a hint of disdain before activating his Byakugan, his eyes shifting to a pure white. Hinata, in response, activated her own Byakugan, and they charged at each other again, their strikes intensifying. The sounds of their clashes echoed throughout the arena as Hinata focused on her friend's encouragement. She ducked under one of Neji's attacks and attempted to counter, but her strike hit a log instead. Neji, with a smirk, unleashed a series of rapid strikes, overwhelming Hinata and causing her to fall to the ground. Despite the pain, Hinata stood up, determined not to let her friends down. She declared that she would not be defeated so easily and launched her own attack, creating a wall of air that struck Neji, sending him back. Her friends cheered her on, and Hinata felt a surge of warmth from their support. Neji, impressed yet confident, prepared to retaliate with his own version of Hinata's attack. He unleashed a powerful wall of air that sent Hinata flying back, leaving her on the ground, motionless. Hayate called for a medic team, who rushed to assist Hinata and carried her away on a stretcher. Concerned for her well-being, Naruto attempted to jump onto the battlefield but was restrained by Kakashi, who urged him to let the medical squad do their job. Reluctantly, Naruto complied, his expression darkening with worry. Once Naruto returned to the balcony, Hayate reached into the box again to announce the next match, Dosu versus Naruto Namikaze. Naruto leaped off the balcony and landed on the far side of the field as Dosu, the bandaged Otonin, approached. As the match began, Dosu charged at Naruto, preparing to strike. Naruto recalled their previous encounter and felt a rush of determination. He attempted to dodge the punch but was hit in the chest, sending him crashing against the wall, pain coursing through him. Frustrated, he questioned why he felt so slow. Spotting Dosu charging again, he leaped up, using the wall to propel himself back into the arena. With newfound resolve, he summoned blue chakra that swirled around him, transforming into a vibrant orange as he prepared for the next phase of the battle. Once the entire shroud turned orange, Naruto stretched both arms beside him, unleashing his technique. The orange chakra wrapped around his arms, extending into 30-foot-long whips. He skillfully ensnared Dosu, throwing him across the stadium. As the whips receded, Naruto bent over, panting, acknowledging the toll it took on him. Dosu struggled to his feet, orange burn marks visible on his body. He quickly formed hand seals, but nothing happened. Confused and frustrated, he glared at Naruto, demanding to know what had happened to his chakra. Naruto, scratching his head with a grin, admitted that he might have sealed it away and declared it was time to finish the match. He swiftly performed hand seals, channeling his energy into a new technique. 6 bullets of air shot from his mouth, striking Dosu and leaving him incapacitated. Hayate called for a medical squad to attend to both Naruto and Dosu. He then announced the next match, Kwai vs Sasuke. Kwai, an IWA genin, wore a blue and black outfit, his slicked-back black hair and a scar over his right eye giving him a fierce appearance. Sasuke, unimpressed, prepared for the fight. As the match began, Sasuke charged at Kwai, enveloping his hands and feet in electricity. He unleashed a flurry of taijutsu strikes before leaping into the air, igniting his leg in flames to execute a powerful attack. The fiery talon raked across Kwai, sending him flying back. With Kwai down, Hayate declared Sasuke the winner and called for another medic squad. As they took Kwai away, Sasuke returned to the balcony, ready for the next match, Linky vs Byakuchi. Linky, a 16-year-old Konoha genin from an extinct clan, possessed the powerful dojutsu known as the Chaos Gon, which allowed for teleportation and even time manipulation. He wore a dark pink hoodie and black pants, his eyes swirling with galaxies. Byakuchi, also 16, exuded the confidence of a seasoned shinobi, armed with a spear and dressed in a fitted brown shirt and red pants. The match commenced with Linky unsheathing both swords and charging at Byakuchi. In response, Byakuchi executed hand seals and stomped the ground, sending a massive boulder hurtling toward Linky. However, Linky's eyes flashed, and the boulders suddenly appeared behind Byakuchi, forcing him to dodge. Seizing the opportunity, Linky slashed at Byakuchi, leaving deep gashes on his arm. Byakuchi countered by spinning his spear, striking Linky in the chest before stabbing him through the arm. He then summoned a stone spear from the ground, which pierced Linky's leg, causing him to cry out. Following up with a kick to Linky's face, Byakuchi inflicted further damage, but Linky, determined, activated his Chaos Gon to slow time. He yanked the spear from his leg and retaliated, cutting Byakuchi's chest. As Linky prepared for a decisive strike, Byakuchi anticipated his move and summoned another stone spear, catching Linky off guard. Just before Linky could land his blow, he found himself impaled. Byakuchi acknowledged Linky's ability but noted that better execution could have led to victory. As he spun his spear toward Linky's head, Linky managed to evade. Declaring his victory, Linky activated his Chaos Gon once more, teleporting behind Byakuchi with both swords poised for a strike. However, Byakuchi conceded, and Hayate announced Linky as the winner, calling for a medic squad for both genin. The next match was set, Kiba Inuzuka vs Gaara of the Sand. As they approached the arena, Gaara paused beside Sasuke, ominously declaring that he expected Sasuke and Naruto to prove his existence in the finals before facing Kiba and Akamaru. He warned Kiba to send his dog away before any harm could come to it. Kiba, undeterred, taunted Gaara, inviting him to make the first move. Gaara raised his hand, summoning a claw of sand that ensnared Kiba's legs, threatening to immobilize him. At that moment, Naruto returned to the balcony, his eyes filled with rage as he shouted Gaara's name, ready to intervene, but Ino held him back, reminding him that Kiba knew the risks and would recover. Naruto, determined, vowed to confront both Neji and Gaara for their actions. Choji echoed his sentiment, while Shino seethed with anger, his insects buzzing in agitation. Gaara, unfazed, turned his attention to Naruto, ominously stating that he would allow his mother to drink Naruto's blood. Hayate cleared his throat, announcing the next match, Misumi vs. Kuratsuchi. One of Kabuto's teammates, wearing glasses, entered the arena alongside the black-haired Iwa Nin, a strong contender in the tournament. As the match began, Kuratsuchi unleashed her technique, releasing a glob of corrosive liquid that caught Misumi's foot, hardening into a strong substance. Misumi smirked, using his ability to stretch his leg and wrap it around Kuratsuchi, drawing a kunai to her throat. However, Kuratsuchi revealed her true position, emerging from the ground and dispelling the illusion, trapping Misumi in the cement-like substance. Kuratsuchi approached her opponent and placed an explosive tag on him, noting that relying on such a skill in the forest was unwise if it was intended as a trump card for the tournament. She shook her head and declared that he should give up or face dire consequences. Misumi conceded, acknowledging her victory. Hayate announced Kuratsuchi as the winner of that round and called for the next match, NYXX vs. Choji Akimichi. Choji put away his snacks and made his way to the arena, followed by NYXX, Asuna Genin adorned in a golden scarf and a red shirt. As the match began, Choji prepared himself, his fist expanding significantly as NYXX charged at him. He shouted out his technique, partial expansion jutsu. Just as NYXX reached him, the Sunanin leaped into the air and unleashed a barrage of small fireballs, which left Choji with minor burns. In retaliation, Choji swung his massive arm upward, striking NYXX with enough force to send him crashing into the far wall. With determination, Choji activated his expansion jutsu, growing to 5 times his normal size. He rolled toward NYXX, tucking in his limbs and propelling himself like a boulder, smashing into the genin and driving him deeper into the wall. NYXX rebounded and prepared for another attack, confident that this would end the match. NYXX countered with Fire Style, Phoenix Talon, igniting his foot and delivering a powerful kick to Choji. He followed up with Fire Style, Phoenix Wing, his arms engulfed in flames shaped like wings, slashing at Choji and sending him flying. As Choji hit the ground, he returned to his normal size. NYXX acknowledged Choji's strength but questioned his ability to continue. Choji stood up, fury igniting in his eyes, and declared that he could indeed keep going. Chakra erupted from him as he charged at NYXX, furious at being called fat. His arms expanded and were covered in stones as he unleashed Stone Tank Smash, crashing into NYXX and sending him away. In response, NYXX unleashed Fire Style, Phoenix Fireball Jutsu, a phoenix-shaped flame soaring toward Choji, engulfing him and leaving him unconscious on the ground. Hayate announced NYXX as the winner of the round and called for a medic squad to attend to Choji. Shikamaru expressed his concern about the strength of the Sunanin, while Naruto marveled at their ruthlessness, feeling a surge of red chakra until Ino placed a calming hand on his shoulder, prompting him to apologize. Hayate then announced the next match, Ino Yamanaka against Kimi. Ino stepped into the arena, facing her opponent, a girl with short brown hair and brown eyes, dressed in a blue short-sleeved shirt and brown pants. As the match commenced, Kimi charged at Ino, chakra scalpels forming on her hands. Ino deftly dodged the slashes and executed Dust Spray Jutsu, creating a cloud of dust around her. Kimi, undeterred, pursued Ino's last position, slashing through the dust but finding no resistance. Ino revealed her astral clone, kicking Kimi from behind and retreating into the obscured dust. She explained that her technique was a hidden ability of her clan, designed for distraction and infiltration. Kimi, frustrated, attempted to locate Ino by listening carefully, but Ino continued to evade her. Ino teased Kimi, throwing a kunai at her feet while layering a genjutsu over her. Kimi countered with Stone Pillar Jutsu, creating a towering stone structure. As Ino attempted to climb it, Kimi unleashed a landslide jutsu, causing rubble to cascade down and strike Ino. Ino, however, was prepared and summoned Earth-style, Stone Shell, forming a protective dome just in time. Kimi, realizing the need for a stronger attack, unleashed Fire-style, Great Fireball Jutsu, engulfing Ino's shell in flames. Ino emerged from the ground, revealing that her astral clone could withstand a few hits without dispelling. With renewed determination, she decided to finish the match with one final move. She formed the Yamanaka seal, releasing a swarm of purple butterflies that surrounded Kimi, immobilizing her. Ino then revealed her plan, stating that she would detonate the explosive tags that had replaced the butterflies. Kimi, realizing her predicament, reluctantly conceded. Hayate announced Ino as the winner of the match, and her friends cheered her on from the balcony, praising her performance. Ino smiled at Naruto and prepared for the next challenge, playfully bantering with Sakura about their abilities. The chapter concluded with anticipation for the next match, as the tournament continued to unfold. Tor was a large man, so tall he had to hunch over. He wore nothing but chains and a pair of black shorts. Lee rushed Tor, appearing behind the large genin and unleashing a flurry of blows that knocked the teen to the ground. Lee jumped into the air and delivered a powerful axe kick to Tor's back, exclaiming his enthusiasm as he leaped again, spinning and slamming a second heel into the man's back. He then jumped away, challenging Tor to rise. Tor stood up slowly, looking at Lee before charging on all fours, shoulder-checking Lee and sending him crashing into the wall, which propelled Lee out into the forest. Tor stood tall and pounded his fists on his chest, letting out a roar at Lee, who was now getting back on his feet. Lee dusted himself off and acknowledged Tor's strength, noting that, had he not been training under Gai-sensei, he might have been defeated. He declared that Tor would need to do much more to win. Lee then executed a front kick, sending Tor back into the stadium. Following up, the bowl-haired genin leaped into the air, leading with a kick and shouting his signature move as he struck Tor in the face with tremendous force. Lee flipped back and landed as Tor soared through the air, crashing against the far wall of the arena before flopping to the ground. The announcer began to declare the winner, but Tor interrupted by standing up and roaring once more. A teenage girl on the balcony commented that Tor had entered his berserk state. She was short with greasy black hair that reached her knees, adorned with long metal attachments on her fingers and wearing a dirty red IWA Nin outfit. When Ino inquired about her identity, she introduced herself as Farah, Tor and Kwai's teammate, explaining that she had known Tor since childhood. She warned that whenever he started to get hurt, he would enter a berserk rage, usually requiring Tremor-sensei to stop him. Naruto cheered for Lee, urging him to take Tor down, while Tenten expressed her confidence in Lee's strength, suggesting that his goofy appearance belied his true abilities. As the match continued, Lee dodged Tor's frantic punches, struggling to land a hit. It seemed that no matter what he did, nothing seemed to hurt the behemoth. Tor slammed both hands down like a hammer, forcing Lee to jump back and throw shuriken that embedded themselves in Tor's massive form. Lee shook his head, realizing he didn't want to resort to his ultimate technique just yet. He leaped into the air as Tor charged at him, kicking towards the giant and sending a metal rod flying, knocking Tor prone. Lee followed up with a kick to Tor's head, dazing him. Landing swiftly, Lee rushed for his sticks, clicking them together to form a bow staff. As Tor began to rise, Lee unleashed a rapid barrage of strikes to his face, hitting him faster than he could react. Finally, Lee jumped away just before Tor roared in agony and fell unconscious. The announcer declared Lee the winner, prompting a call for a volunteer to fix the wall. Kakashi shook his head and approached the shattered wall, using his earth-style technique to repair it with mud that quickly hardened. Hayate cleared his throat, announcing the next match between Kin and Shino Aburame. Shino stood opposite the female Otonin and warned her to surrender, as he was not in a good mood. Kin dismissed his threat, showing no fear. As the match began, Kin charged at Shino, only to run into a swarm of insects that clung to her. Shino maliciously commanded the insects to drain her chakra, recalling the story he had heard from Ino about her attacking his friends. Kin screamed as the chakra was SCKD from her body, and after a minute, the swarm returned to Shino, leaving Kin unconscious on the ground. The announcer declared Shino Aburame the winner, noting the brutality of the match. He called for a medical squad for Kin and announced the next match, Shikamaru Nara against Hawk. Shikamaru, feeling the weight of the situation, calmly walked down to the arena floor to face NYXX's teammate, a man with a bandaged torso. Hawk leaped into the air, wind chakra spiraling around his limbs as he propelled himself toward Shikamaru. Naruto and Ino cheered for Shikamaru, urging him to win for their friends. Shikamaru, feeling the pressure, managed to evade Hawk's attack, which left a small drill hole where he had landed. He inhaled deeply and performed a series of hand signs, unleashing a large fireball that struck Hawk, leaving him burned and standing amidst a plume of dust. Hawk retaliated by creating drill-like wind spirals around his fists and charged at Shikamaru. In response, Shikamaru quickly placed his hands into the family seal and executed the shadow possession jutsu, extending his shadow to ensnare Hawk. The two stood in the same position until Shikamaru changed their posture and drew a kunai. Hawk mirrored his movements, but Shikamaru had his kunai pouch on the opposite leg. Shikamaru warned Hawk to surrender or face dire consequences. When Hawk remained silent, Shikamaru moved the kunai into his chest. Once again, Hawk did nothing, prompting Shikamaru to prepare to throw another kunai. However, before he could act, the announcer declared Shikamaru Nara the winner of the match. Releasing the jutsu, Shikamaru approached Hawk and expressed his regret for the outcome, questioning why he hadn't surrendered. Hawk ignored him and walked away, heading to the balcony. Shikamaru returned to his spot beside Naruto, muttering about the troublesome nature of the situation. Heiei then announced the next match, Tenten Tentetsu vs Kankuro of the Sands. Tenten walked down to face Kankuro, who unwrapped the bandages on his back to reveal a puppet. As the match commenced, Tenten initiated her attack by pulling out a scroll and unleashing a torrent of shuriken at Kankuro, who stood behind his puppet as the metal bounced off its carapace. Tenten then appeared behind Kankuro with two broadswords, but Kankuro ducked under her slash and countered with a kick to her stomach. He jumped back and manipulated his puppet, which lunged at Tenten with its large claws extended, slashing continuously as Tenten struggled to block each hit with her swords. Challenging Kankuro, Tenten asked if that was all he had as she managed to block both arms at once. Kankuro laughed, pulling back his ring fingers to reveal two extra arms on his puppet, each equipped with deadly claws. He declared his intent to unleash his puppet's full power. Crow began slashing at Tenten with increasing speed, but she managed to evade his attacks. Tenten was panting heavily and smirked, commenting on his appearance. Kankuro, frustrated, insisted that it was not makeup but war paint. Crow lunged at Tenten, who prepared her swords and charged at the puppet, ducking underneath to cut the strings. Kankuro cursed and rushed at Tenten, dodging a sword swing and retaliating with a kick that she blocked. Tenten spun her swords and aimed them at the puppeteer, but was caught by the puppet's claws. Kankuro grinned, having reinforced the strings with his remaining chakra, a detail Tenten had overlooked. She collapsed to the ground, struggling as Kankuro wrapped his puppet around her. A medic squad was quickly summoned to assist her. Heiei announced Kankuro's victory with a sour expression. Sasuke acknowledged Kankuro's skill as he joined Temari and Gaara. The next match was announced, Pharah vs Sakura. Sakura approached the arena, ready to face the smaller girl. Both kunoichi immediately began performing hand seals, casting genjutsu against each other. As Sakura advanced, she saw multiple versions of Pharah. Pharah lost sight of Sakura entirely. Sakura quickly dispelled the genjutsu and struck Pharah, sending her flying. She then executed another set of hand seals, using a technique that ensnared Pharah in a dead tree, holding a kunai threateningly close to her throat. Heiei declared Sakura the winner. Pharah, frustrated, attempted to leave but stumbled on the stairs, falling. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her back as the genjutsu shattered, causing her to collapse. Naruto was taken aback by Sakura's decisive actions, noting that Pharah had merely been trying to get up. Sakura explained that she had learned the importance of doing what was necessary to win. Shino agreed, recalling their first C-rank mission where they had to eliminate a bandit camp without rescuing the hostages. Ino expressed sympathy for the harsh reality, while Sasuke nodded in agreement. Heiei announced Sakura as the winner of the 13th match, moving on to the next, Ayato Hattori against Zuku. Ayato, the youngest member of Linky's team and its de facto leader, was tall for his age and had graduated 2 years early. His shaggy black hair resembled that of the second Hokage, and he wore a black sleeveless hoodie over a long-sleeved red shirt, with black pants featuring a red streak. Zaku confronted him, asking if he was ready to lose. Ayato remained silent. Shikamaru noted that Ayato was smart and had beaten him at shogi a few times, impressing Naruto. Shikamaru explained that Ayato's clan had been wiped out during the Nine-Tails attack, but they were known for their strength, and Ayato's adopted father was the proctor. As the match began, Ayato deftly dodged Zaku's wind attacks, appearing behind him and delivering a powerful kick to his head before returning to his original position. Naruto marveled at Ayato's speed, wondering if he could teach him. Shikamaru clarified that it was called the Swift Style, a Kekii Genkai of Ayato's clan. Ayato ducked Zaku's next attack and landed 3 quick punches to his face, followed by a knee to his stomach. Zaku fell to his knees, and Ayato offered him a chance to surrender. When Zaku spat at him, Ayato shook his head, grabbed Zaku by the hair, and threw him into the air. He followed up with a flurry of punches before delivering a decisive kick to Zaku's jaw, sending him crashing to the ground. Hey-8 announced Ayato as the winner of the match, prompting cheers from Linky. Ayato acknowledged her and took a seat in the back corner, giving Shikamaru a shy nod. The next match was announced, Yoroi vs. Frog. The girl in a green one-piece suit from NYXX's team faced off against the final member of Kabuto's team. As the match began, Frog inhaled deeply and unleashed a powerful water technique that struck Yoroi, ending the match swiftly. She hopped over to the body, commenting on the strength of her technique outside the desert before returning to the balcony. Hey-8 announced Frog as the winner and called for a cleanup squad. He then prepared to announce the next match, Temari of the Sand against Akatsuchi. Temari opened her fan and gracefully floated down, while Akatsuchi, a large and heavy-set teen, walked slowly to the arena. The match commenced with Temari unleashing a gust of wind towards Akatsuchi, who quickly raised a wall of earth for defense. He summoned a stone golem to attack Temari, but she countered with a slicing wind technique that cut the golem in half. Akatsuchi concentrated and summoned multiple golems to charge at Temari. Although she managed to take down 2, the remaining golems overwhelmed her with powerful strikes. As soon as Temari fell unconscious, Akatsuchi dispelled the golems. Hate announced Akatsuchi as the final finalist, preparing to reveal the matchups for the tournament. A screen appeared behind him, displaying the upcoming battles. The screen displayed the matchups for the tournament. Niji Hyuga vs. Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki vs. Linky Chaos. Gaara of the Sand vs. NYXX. Kuratsuchi vs. Ino Yamanaka. Rock Lee vs. Shikamaru Nara. Shino Aburame vs. Kankuro of the Sand. Sakura Haruno vs. Frog. Ayato vs. Akatsuchi. Naruto looked at Sasuke and encouraged him to do his best against Niji. Sasuke, with a confident smirk, questioned Naruto's faith in him. Sarutobi approached Hey-8 and addressed the competitors, explaining that anyone who participated in the tournament could be selected for a promotion to Chunin, but only those who truly embodied the qualities of a Chunin would succeed. He emphasized the importance of their overall performance, not just their match outcomes. Kuratsuchi inquired about these qualities, to which Sarutobi playfully remarked that if she didn't know them, she wasn't ready for the promotion. He reminded everyone that they had a month to train before their matches and wished them luck. Immediately, Naruto turned to Kakashi, urging him to train Sasuke while he planned to visit Ero Sennin for additional training in Fuinjutsu. Kakashi pretended to be hurt by Naruto's decision but accepted it. Ino declined Kakashi's offer to join them, explaining that she had a special lesson with her father but expressed interest in some taijutsu training if Kakashi shared his location. Kakashi made a note for Ino before leading Sasuke away, who waved goodbye to his teammates. As the next chapter began, Choji called out to his friends Hinata and Kiba, inviting them to join him. Hinata had recovered well from her fight, but Kiba was confined to a wheelchair due to a severe injury from Gaara. She wheeled Kiba over to Choji and settled between them. The stadium buzzed with excitement, featuring not only Naruto but also the last Uchiha, the 4th Kazekage's son, and the 3rd Tsuchikage's granddaughter. The Hokage, along with the Kazekage and Tsuchikage, stood on a podium in the arena, with Genma, a jonin known for his senbon, behind them. Sarutobi welcomed everyone to the Chunin exam finals, announcing that 8 matches would take place and that the candidates would be randomly selected. Naruto, from the competitors' platform, expressed his confusion about the match announcements. Shikamaru noted that they had prepared for the wrong type of fight, glancing at Asuma, who confirmed his observation. Gunma was introduced as the proctor for the exams, and the 3 Kage vanished to their box with their bodyguards. Gunma, eager to begin, announced the first match, drawing names from a box. He called for Linky Chaos and Sasuke Uchiha, but Sasuke was still absent. Gunma decided to wait for Sasuke's arrival, allowing Linky to return to the stands. Instead, the first match would feature Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Both girls acknowledged each other as they approached the arena floor. Ino asked Sakura if there were any hard feelings, and they exchanged gestures of camaraderie. As the match commenced, Gunma leaped back just as 2 kunai clashed where he had stood. Ino launched a series of kicks at Sakura, who narrowly dodged them. Sakura retaliated with a powerful punch that sent Ino stumbling back. Sakura performed a technique, summoning stone fists that flew toward Ino. Ino skillfully evaded the first 2 but was nearly struck by the third. Quickly, she executed a jutsu that released a cloud of dust, obscuring the view. Sakura, determined, called out to Ino not to give up. She scanned the arena for her rival, noting the natural cover provided by a small pool of water and trees. The dust cloud suggested Ino might have used a substitution technique, and the blood that splattered was likely from a prop. As the dust settled, Sakura spotted Ino, who appeared injured and triumphant, claiming she had caught Sakura. Ino initiated her mind transfer jutsu, causing Sakura to lose control momentarily. Inside Sakura's mindscape, the atmosphere was filled with memories, showcasing a picture of Sakura with her friends and family above a fireplace, and a large television on the opposite wall. Ino, comfortably seated in a purple armchair, taunted Sakura about her predicament. Sakura found herself tied to a wooden kitchen chair, feeling a mix of confusion and frustration. Ino stood at the edge of the room, a door appearing behind her. She teased about Sakura's first crush, mentioning Kiba, which made Sakura protest vehemently, insisting that Kiba was not a crush but merely a cute boy from their childhood. Ino chuckled, finding Sakura's reactions amusing. She playfully patted Sakura's head before announcing her intention to leave, claiming she just wanted to see how Sakura had organized the place. In the arena, Sakura faced Gunma and declared her surrender, walking back to the competitor stands. Ino, filled with excitement, raised her hands in triumph, announcing her victory to the crowd. The audience erupted in applause, and she encouraged them to cheer for Sakura as well. Unexpectedly, Sakura retaliated by punching Ino, sending her skidding across the dirt. Sakura smirked, clarifying that she hadn't actually given up. With determination, she charged at Ino, delivering a powerful kick to her stomach. Ino laughed, acknowledging her playful strategy. She prepared for a serious fight, quickly forming hand seals and summoning a powerful illusion that ensnared Sakura in a tree. Just then, a massive ball of flames hurtled toward the arena, and Sakura instinctively pushed Ino out of harm's way as the meteor struck, engulfing the area in chaos. When Sakura regained consciousness, she was horrified to find Kiba and Shino lifeless nearby, with Akamaru disturbingly munching on Kiba's leg. Panicking, she stumbled back into Kurenai, only to witness her sensei disintegrate into dust. The scene around her grew increasingly nightmarish as she saw the faces of those she cared for falling one by one, including her parents and Irika-sensei, all succumbing to her own hands in a twisted vision. Overwhelmed, Sakura fell to her knees, despairing at the sight. Gunma's voice echoed in her mind, declaring her defeat. But with a surge of will, she shouted for release, channeling her chakra to break free from the genjutsu. Standing tall, Sakura complimented Ino on her cleverness, revealing her own plan as she summoned 2 swords from the earth. Ino smirked, acknowledging the rarity of Sakura's creativity. As they clashed, Ino utilized her water-based weaponry, but Sakura's skill with her swords allowed her to counter effectively, despite sustaining some minor injuries. The battle intensified as Sakura stumbled, and Ino seized the moment, pointing her spear at Sakura's throat and demanding her surrender. Sakura, recognizing her defeat, tapped the ground twice, conceding the match. Genma announced Ino as the winner, and the next match was set to begin between Shikamaru Nara and Kankuro of the Sand. Kankuro quickly forfeited, citing his inability to compete against Shikamaru's shadow techniques. The arena buzzed with anticipation as Rock Lee prepared to face Niji Hyuga. Lee declared his readiness to showcase his youthful spirit, vowing to surpass Niji. Niji, however, activated his Byakugan, confident in his abilities. As the match commenced, Lee requested Niji to activate his Byakugan, wanting a fair fight. Niji complied, and Lee removed his weights, creating a dramatic impact as they hit the ground. With the match underway, Niji launched a series of rapid strikes, but Lee skillfully dodged each attack. Lee retaliated with a powerful spinning kick, sending Niji stumbling. He followed up with a flurry of kicks, landing several blows that knocked Niji to the ground. Niji, undeterred, rose to his feet and charged at Lee, delivering precise jabs that sent Lee reeling. Lee, determined to prove Niji wrong, gathered his chakra and prepared to unleash the 8 inner gates, ready to push beyond his limits in pursuit of victory. First gate, the gate of opening, opened. Lee's arms shot up as a gust of wind swirled around him. The second gate, the gate of healing, opened, and he began hopping up and down, his energy fully restored. The third gate, the gate of life, opened, causing Lee's skin to flush red and his veins to bulge. In an instant, Lee appeared in front of Niji, driving his knee into the boy's stomach. Niji looked down, then back up, before being sent flying. He wiped blood from his mouth and acknowledged Lee's skill, stating he would now demonstrate his own technique. Lee reappeared before Niji, launching into a severe leaf hurricane. Niji countered with a spinning defense, releasing chakra to create a dome that sent Lee hurtling away. The impact left Lee bleeding from his leg, his bones feeling the strain of the recoil. Niji declared that Lee was within his field of divination and that it would end here. He executed the 8 trigrams 64 palms, striking Lee with a rapid series of palm strikes. Lee was sent flying, landing hard on his back. Despite the pain, he managed to rise to his feet, acknowledging Niji as a worthy opponent. He opened the 4th gate, the gate of pain, and the 5th gate, the gate of closing. Energy surged from Lee's body as he screamed in agony, his chakra points being forcefully opened. He launched himself into the air above Niji, preparing for a decisive move. Niji created his barrier again, but Lee's kick tore through it, landing a powerful blow on Niji's shoulder. Lee stumbled back, his leg severely injured from the impact, while Niji stood, his shoulder visibly damaged. Lee declared his intention to change destiny, moving toward Niji, who was momentarily stunned. Niji expressed disbelief that Lee had broken through the Kaiten, a technique he had risked everything to learn. Lee attributed his success to hard work and determination. He then delivered a punch to Niji's face, knocking him out. Lee looked up at Guy with a triumphant smile, exclaiming his victory before collapsing onto his back as his energy faded. Genma announced Lee as the winner of the match and called for a medic squad to assist both fighters. The next match was set to feature Ayato against Frog. Ayato stepped onto the arena floor, a sword at his waist, looking weary. Frog hopped down and prepared for battle, determined to finish quickly. The match began with Frog launching water needles at Ayato. He activated his swift-release Kekii Genkai, skillfully dodging the attack. Drawing his sword, he dashed at Frog, landing a decisive blow that severed one of her arms. Ayato's anger boiled over as he recalled the loss of his father, blaming the Suna for the tragedy. Before he could finish his thought, Frog retaliated with a barrage of water needles that knocked him down. She then executed a powerful jutsu, summoning a torrent of water aimed at Ayato. However, he teleported to safety, reappearing in the trees nearby. Frog, sensing the opportunity, submerged herself in a nearby pool of water, becoming one with it. She prepared to ambush Ayato when he resurfaced. But Ayato struck first, using his lightning-infused sword to electrify the pool, causing Frog to convulse. Confident of his victory, Ayato walked away. Genma dove into the pool, retrieving the unconscious frog and summoning a medical squad for her. He announced Ayato as the winner of the match, moving on to the next pairing of Kuratsuchi and NYXX. Kuratsuchi entered the arena, while NYXX adjusted his golden scarf, watching her prepare. The match commenced with Kuratsuchi unleashing her corrosion-style jutsu, but NYXX countered with fire-style, hardening her attack into stone. He then threw shuriken, but Kuratsuchi deftly deflected them and charged at him, attempting a powerful kick. Though NYXX blocked the kick, the force cracked the ground beneath him. Kuratsuchi quickly activated her earth style, encasing herself in rocky armor before charging again. NYXX retaliated with a melting technique, trapping her, but she broke free and struck him in the face. Kuratsuchi, furious, vowed to defeat him and unleashed a powerful fire-style jutsu. But when the flames cleared, NYXX had vanished, leaving only ashes and his scarf behind. His voice echoed as he prepared his next move. The ashes began to spark, erupting into a full flame that took the shape of NYXX. He bent over and wrapped the scarf around his neck, the colors and solidity returning to the flames. A ball of fire flew towards Kuratsuchi, who was barely able to move from her previous attack. Onoki appeared in front of the ball, using his earth style to create a wall with a stag's face in the center. The wall absorbed the blast, which erupted with enough force to shake the Kage booth, yet it stood firm. Genma announced that due to an outside influence on the match in Kuratsuchi's favor, the victory would go to NYXX from Suna. Onoki glared at the teen, warning him not to try anything like that again, or he would face dire consequences. NYXX responded with defiance, stating that as a descendant of the Phoenix, he did not fear the Tsuchikage. Golden embers radiated off of him as he stared down Onoki. Sarutobi intervened, suggesting that the matches should continue. Onoki glared at him before floating back up to the Kage booth, holding his granddaughter in his arms despite her size. Genma shook his head, surprised by the unexpected revelation of Onoki's family legacy, but he decided to focus on the next match. Sasuke's voice rang out across the arena, apologizing for their late arrival due to a superstitious detour around a black cat. Naruto face-bombed, realizing that Kakashi had influenced Sasuke's behavior. Genma sighed and announced the next match would be between Linky Chaos and Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke jumped from the open roof of the Colosseum onto the arena floor, while Linky bounced on their feet, leaping from the balcony in a front flip. Linky drew their swords, questioning Sasuke's absence from the match. Sasuke scoffed, activating his Sharingan and unsealing a wakizashi, dismissing Linky's reputation. The match began with Linky slashing at Sasuke, who jumped back and drew his own sword. He blocked another of Linky's attacks and countered with a kick. Linky jumped back, unleashing a technique that covered their swords in lightning, charging towards Sasuke with incredible speed. Sasuke managed to block a few slashes before ducking and sweeping Linky's legs, causing them to hit the ground. He followed up with a strike that knocked the air out of Linky's chest. Linky rolled away and retaliated with a kick to Sasuke's face, who jumped back, adjusting his nose and glaring at Linky. Sasuke unleashed a massive fireball towards Linky, who skillfully teleported it away just in time. Sasuke continued his assault with a series of fireballs, but Linky managed to teleport them all away, though the strain was evident on their face. Sasuke seized the opportunity, landing a series of powerful punches and a kick to Linky's side, followed by a slash across their chest. Linky stood up, their swords now on the other side of the arena. With a blink, the swords appeared in their hands, and they charged at Sasuke, who slipped between their attacks and struck Linky's chest, sending them flying back. Sasuke prepared to demonstrate a powerful technique taught by Kakashi, channeling chakra into his left hand as it transformed into lightning. He charged at Linky, plunging the jutsu into the wall beside their head. Genma intervened, thanking Sasuke for sparing Linky's life and declaring him the victor. The crowd erupted in cheers as Sasuke extended a hand to Linky, who accepted it, acknowledging the strength of his opponent. Genma announced the next match, featuring Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki against Shino Aburame. Naruto greeted Shino, expressing his determination to defeat his next opponent, while Shino confidently stated his intention to win. The two walked down together, exchanging nods of respect before the match began. Naruto launched himself at Shino, creating multiple clones that surrounded him and unleashing a barrage of compressed air. Shino responded with a defensive technique, forming a protective shell from ultra-tough spider silk. As Naruto leapt upwards, Shino emerged from the ground, unleashing a swarm of chakra-sking insects. One of Naruto's clones attempted to attack Shino but was quickly overwhelmed by the bugs, leading to the demise of all of Naruto's clones. Shino smugly informed Naruto that he had fallen into his trap, as the insects rendered his clones ineffective. Naruto, however, was enveloped in the insects but expressed his concern for their well-being, vowing not to harm them. Suddenly, a thin layer of scarlet chakra enveloped Naruto, transforming his appearance. With darkened whisker marks and claw-like nails, he prepared to confront Shino, hoping the insects would be unharmed. Naruto thought about the only options he had left, short of using a powerful wind or fire technique. Shino expressed his gratitude, saying he held no ill will towards Naruto and appreciated his concern for their friends. Shino reassured him that they would be fine. With that, Naruto's chakra returned to normal and he expressed his dislike for using such techniques. The two faced off, exchanging punches while mostly evading each other's attacks. Shino decided to change his approach and struck Naruto in the stomach, causing him to gasp for air. He followed up with a blow to Naruto's head, sending him to the ground. As Shino jumped back, Naruto's body suddenly burst into multiple copies, surrounding Shino. Naruto's voice echoed from above, and Shino looked up just in time to see a shadow growing larger as Naruto descended, a blue orb in his hand. He warned Shino that it would hurt but felt the need to showcase his abilities. With a grin, he unleashed a powerful technique into the ground beside Shino, forming another Rasengan in his other hand. He offered Shino a choice: surrender or face the consequences. Shino agreed to surrender on the condition that Naruto would seek revenge for Kiba. Naruto confirmed that he was already planning to do so and got off Shino. Shino then declared his surrender to the proctor, Genma, who nodded in acknowledgement. Genma announced Naruto as the winner, and the next match would feature Gaara of the Sands against Akatsuchi. Akatsuchi stood across from Gaara, feeling an unsettling fear from the younger boy. Gaara expressed his frustration at the lack of worthy opponents, lamenting the previous match's outcome. He desired a challenge rather than what he considered mere sacrifices. As he summoned a large claw of sand, it captured Akatsuchi, who struggled to break free. Gaara taunted Akatsuchi, noting that while he survived, he was not as interesting as Naruto or Sasuke. The sand hand slammed Akatsuchi down, but he managed to rise and prepare for battle. Gaara stood with his arms crossed, 2 fingers extended in a challenge. Akatsuchi summoned a massive golem of stone, which lumbered toward Gaara. Gaara dismissed it as pathetic and demanded proof of Akatsuchi's worth. Akatsuchi created additional golems, each armed with cannons, and even larger golems that towered over him. He raised his axe and prepared to attack. With a shout, Akatsuchi commanded his golems to fire at Gaara while the cavalry charged forward. Gaara's sand tendrils swiftly countered each attack, shattering the boulders and neutralizing the cavalry. Akatsuchi's axe managed to strike one tendril but was quickly destroyed by another, which then pierced his chest. As the stone around Akatsuchi crumbled, he fell to the ground, blood pooling around him. Gaara, unimpressed, declared Akatsuchi a failure and turned his attention to Naruto, threatening him. Naruto responded defiantly, asserting that he would finish Gaara before his mother could intervene. Medical teams rushed in to assist Akatsuchi while Iwa Jonin helped carry him away. Genma announced Gaara as the winner of the match and informed the audience of a break before the quarterfinals. The crowd began to disperse, leaving only a few familiar faces behind. Shikamaru asked Team 7 if they were ready for the next round. Naruto expressed his eagerness to face Gaara, catching the redhead's attention. Gaara warned Naruto to watch his words, while Naruto confidently stated he could handle Gaara's threats. The group discussed the upcoming matches, with Ino expressing her readiness to fight. Shikamaru lamented the potential challenges ahead, while Sasuke questioned whether the bracket would change again. They spent the hour chatting and watching the arena fill back up. Lee appeared on the balcony, declaring his renewed determination to reach the finals. Genma's voice echoed as he announced the start of the quarterfinals, beginning with Ino Yamanaka against Shikamaru Nara. Naruto wished them good luck, feeling optimistic about their chances. She was his teammate after all. Ino, with a forced smile that barely concealed her competitive spirit, urged Naruto to cheer for her. He responded with an enthusiastic salute, promising to support her. Sasuke offered a brief pat on her shoulder, wishing her good luck, to which Ino nodded appreciatively. The two genin made their way to the arena, each aware of the techniques they had inherited from their fathers. Ino was confident in her astral clone, but she knew Shikamaru would have something equally impressive. The match began. Ino threw a smoke bomb to the ground, summoning 3 astral clones while she used an earth-style ninjutsu to tunnel underground. Shikamaru quickly countered with his fire style, flame bullet jutsu, launching 3 fireballs that burst the clones. Spotting the tunnel Ino had created, he rushed toward it and unleashed a fireball jutsu down the passage. From behind him, Ino's voice echoed as she executed water style, raging waves, knocking Shikamaru off balance. She gleefully taunted him as she charged forward, skillfully dodging 3 kunai he threw her way. However, Shikamaru's shadow possession jutsu took effect, his shadow extending to ensnare her. With a swift motion, he activated shadow stitching jutsu, causing spikes of shadow to emerge around Ino's feet, leaving her momentarily hindered. Shikamaru then surrounded Ino with kunai arranged in a triangle, each marked with a sealing technique. As he focused chakra into them, a large blue shield of chakra formed, trapping Ino inside. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. He hadn't known Shikamaru had such few ninjutsu skills. He shouted for Ino to tunnel away, knowing Shikamaru would hear him. Ino complied, gathering chakra to break through the ground beneath her. She emerged right beside the barrier, throwing 10 shuriken as she sprinted toward Shikamaru. He formed a hand seal, shadows swirling around him to block the shuriken. Countering, he tossed 5 of his own, which linked with Ino's shadow and struck her back. Shikamaru closed the distance, delivering 2 swift punches to Ino's stomach before kicking her away. He followed up with another fire style, flame bullet jutsu, launching 3 fireballs that exploded around her. Suddenly, Shikamaru found himself in a serene field of grass, the softness beneath him inviting him to relax. He lay back, admiring the clouds, but soon a frown crossed his face as he remembered the stakes of the match. With a determined shake of his head, he released the genjutsu, returning to the arena. Apologizing to Ino, he resolved not to give up, despite the challenges she posed. Ino smiled, expressing her disappointment that the genjutsu hadn't worked as she hoped. The two engaged in a fierce exchange of taijutsu. Ino's serpent style allowed her to slip into Shikamaru's openings, but his clan's techniques capitalized on every opportunity to counterattack. She jabbed at his chest, but he quickly retaliated, pushing her back with a kick. Shikamaru followed up with a series of strikes that left Ino off balance. As she attempted to strike back, he caught her hands, forcing her to the ground with his knee pressing onto her chest. Ino struggled against his grip, but Shikamaru's hold was firm. He urged her to surrender as shadows wrapped around her wrists, and with one hand he formed a seal while the other held a kunai near her throat. Realizing her options were limited, Ino sighed and conceded. Genma announced Shikamaru Nara as the winner of the match, and the crowd erupted in applause. The next competitors, Rock Lee and Ayato Hattori, prepared to take the stage. Lee leaped down, shedding his weights and transforming them into a bow staff, while Ayato appeared with sparks of energy dancing around him, sword drawn. The match commenced with Lee unleashing the 8 gates, his skin flushing red as his energy surged. Despite his previous injury, he felt invigorated. The two clashed, Lee's staff meeting Ayato's sword in a flurry of strikes. Lee delivered a powerful kick that sent Ayato flying. Ayato, realizing he needed to keep up, activated his swift style but found Lee still outpacing him. He blocked a fierce strike from Lee's staff and, with a swift motion, unleashed his technique, Hazy Moon Knight. His sword appeared to multiply, creating a circle of blades. A second Ayato emerged behind Lee, and in a flash, 3 gashes appeared on Lee's chest as he staggered back, pain etched on his face. Ayato taunted Lee, acknowledging his speed but asserting his own superiority. Lee, undeterred, declared his intent to showcase his youthful spirit. In an instant he appeared before Ayato, delivering a kick that sent him airborne. Lee followed up with a powerful leaf drop, slamming his heel into Ayato's stomach as he landed beside him. As Ayato struggled to rise, he expressed remorse for underestimating Lee in the past. He spun his blade, channeling energy as lightning enveloped his sword. With a flourish, he created 2 shadow clones, each wielding a lightning-infused blade. The clones surrounded Lee, launching a coordinated attack from all sides, leaving him with 3 more gashes. Lee fell to his knees, determination still burning within him. He was losing too much blood and couldn't continue like this, but Lee stood up and looked at Guy, determined to win. He promised that if he couldn't, he would perform 5,000 push-ups in 5 minutes. Chapter 17, Chunin Tournament 4. Sasuke faced NYXX, black markings creeping along the left side of the Uchiha's body. NYXX appeared radiant, his fiery wings billowing in the breeze. Kakashi shook his head, feeling disappointed. He had warned Sasuke that he couldn't fully suppress the dark power, as the seal relied on Sasuke's willpower, and yet he had broken it. Kakashi wondered what he had done wrong. A commanding voice echoed in Sasuke's mind, urging him to destroy his opponent. He recalled the last time he had heard it during training with Kakashi. In a flashback, Kakashi had kicked Sasuke in the head without looking up from his book, questioning his ability to evade using Shunshin after 3 days of training. Sasuke, frustrated, demanded to try again. He charged at Kakashi, ducking under a fist and successfully using Shunshin to dodge a knee strike. However, Kakashi countered with a painful punch, followed by an elbow and a kick that sent Sasuke flying to the edge of their training mountain. Sasuke, feeling his blood boil, questioned Kakashi's intentions. Kakashi, putting his book away, asked if Sasuke was ready. In a fit of anger, Sasuke attacked with expert precision, but Kakashi effortlessly dodged each blow, poking at him whenever he missed. Sasuke's rage boiled over, and he landed a surprising punch on Kakashi, only to fall to his knees in pain, clutching his neck where Orochimaru had left his mark. Black flame-like markings spread across his body, and he clawed at them in desperation, screaming for them to stop. The dark voice urged him to accept the power for revenge, reminding him of a past incident. Sasuke screamed for it to leave his head, battling against the echoes of Orochimaru's laughter. Kakashi quickly jumped to Sasuke's side, placing a hand on the seal and performing a series of hand seals. He shouted the evil sealing method, and the markings returned to Sasuke's neck, sealed by a red ring. Back in the present, Sasuke shook off the memory and declared he would end the fight now. NYXX dismissed him, asserting that the markings wouldn't change anything. He inhaled deeply and unleashed a large fireball. Sasuke scoffed and countered with his own fireball, resulting in a massive explosion. His Sharingan allowed him to duck just in time as a blazing wing passed overhead. Sasuke threw a kunai at NYXX and infused chakra into his legs, bouncing away. He unleashed the lightning style, shock. Wave jutsu, sending arcs of electricity around him. NYXX dashed through the attack, the kunai embedded in his shoulder. NYXX retaliated with the phoenix style, grand fireball jutsu, exhaling a ball of white-hot flames and flapping his wings to propel it forward. Sasuke leaped over the fireball and threw 5 more kunai, each striking NYXX but avoiding vital areas. He then slashed with his sword, leaving a deep gash across NYXX's chest. Both shinobi jumped back, glaring at each other. NYXX erupted in flames, launching slashes of fire at Sasuke, who skillfully dodged while forming a hand seal. Sasuke performed the shadow clone jutsu, creating 2 clones that appeared behind NYXX. He initiated the white fang dance, sheathing his blade as lightning arced around NYXX before he exploded. Guy smirked, impressed by Sasuke's ability to combine techniques after seeing them only once. Kakashi shrugged, acknowledging that Sasuke had learned it on his own. Sasuke charged at NYXX with relentless fury, slashing at him. With a powerful strike, he cut NYXX down the middle and jumped back, wary of his opponent's resilience. The dark voice taunted him, reminding him of his quest for revenge against Itachi. Genma was about to call the match when pillars of flame erupted around the arena, with NYXX's form darting between them. Sasuke, frustrated, urged NYXX to give up, running toward the center pillar and slashing through it. A pained roar echoed through the arena as Sasuke used Shunshin to reposition himself, avoiding the chaos as the pillars converged and created a massive explosion. NYXX shouted in anger, launching white-hot fireballs everywhere, some heading toward the crowded stands. Kakashi's eyes widened as he and the other Leaf Jonin sprang into action. He used the water-style, water bullet jutsu to extinguish half of the flames. Guy kicked away fireballs with his speed, while Asuma spun his trench knives, snuffing out the remaining fireballs with gusts of wind. Sasuke glared at NYXX, who emerged from the explosion, demanding that he die already. NYXX, fueled by rage, rushed at Sasuke, creating a spear of flames that hardened into gold. He slashed and stabbed, but Sasuke anticipated his moves, slipping past his guard and disarming him. In a swift motion, Sasuke spun around and unleashed the Chidori, lightning erupting around him as he plunged the attack into NYXX's chest, finally bringing him down. As NYXX fell, his hair returned to black, and his wings faded into embers that floated away in the wind. The red marks faded. Sasuke placed the tip of his sword on the small of NYXX's back, acknowledging her efforts. He then plunged the blade in, ensuring that even if she healed from his Chidori, she would remain paralyzed. Genma announced Sasuke as the winner, wiping sweat from his brow. A medical squad rushed in to take NYXX away, offering Sasuke healing, but he waved them off. Sasuke turned his gaze toward Naruto, urging him to win against the Sand Child. Naruto grinned, confidently asserting that he would win. Genma then announced the next match, Gaara of the Sand vs Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto jumped down into the arena, using Earth Chakra to harden the ground as he landed. Gaara floated down on a cloud of sand. The battle began with Gaara's furious declaration that Naruto would be fed to his mother, unleashing a torrent of sand aimed at crushing him. Naruto countered with a powerful gust of wind, sending the sand flying to the edges of the arena. He approached Gaara, dismissing the notion of being fed to a demon, identifying it as Shikaku the One-Tails. Gaara's eyes filled with rage as he insisted that his mother was not a demon but the only one who loved him. The sand surged toward Naruto, forming into sharp spears. Naruto dodged as many as he could, realizing that a friendly approach could lead to his downfall. He unleashed a stream of water that struck Gaara's shoulder, drawing blood. As Gaara fell silent, he began to tremble, a malevolent purple chakra radiating from him. He sobbed, pleading for his mother to punish Naruto for the injury. Gaara's demeanor shifted, and he screamed, commanding the sand to attack. However, Naruto had already replaced himself with a clone, reappearing to deliver a powerful punch to Gaara's face, knocking him back. Gaara's face cracked, revealing armor beneath the sand, and he screamed in anger. The sand converged on Naruto, attempting to bury him. Suddenly, the sand became moist and fell flat around the arena as Naruto stood up, scarlet chakra leaking from him. He declared that he was done and swiftly delivered 3 quick punches to Gaara before kicking him in the chin. Naruto then created 12 shadow clones, all leaping into the air to surround Gaara. Following suit, Naruto flew upwards, forming a blue orb in his hand. Hinata cheered for Naruto, while Choji munched on chips, surprised by Gaara's strength. Kiba, feeling downcast, watched the match with Akamaru, who yipped in excitement as Naruto turned the sand to mud. Kiba took Akamaru from his lap and placed him on Hinata's before moving away, ignoring her calls. Choji placed a hand on Hinata's shoulder, expressing his concern for Kiba's condition. Hinata looked down, feeling helpless, as Akamaru liked her face before running after Kiba. Choji reassured her that he believed Kiba would get better, sharing a feeling he had whenever Naruto spoke about becoming Hokage. Suddenly, a blur rushed past them, followed by 3 others. Hinata sensed something was amiss and urged Choji to follow. They soon caught up with Shino, who was also pursuing the figures. Shino explained that he was following the enemy alongside the ANBU. As they continued, they quickly caught up with the ANBU team, consisting of Kuma, Kara, and Nizu. Kuma ordered them to return to the arena, but Shino insisted they could help. Kuma agreed to let them assist, assigning roles to each of them. Hinata activated her Byakugan, locating the target in the market area. Kuma tapped his radio, coordinating the evacuation of citizens. He charged into the market area, grabbing the ninja he was pursuing and slamming them into the ground, only to find he was holding smoke. Hinata kicked the ninja from behind, allowing Kuma to clothesline them. Choji joined the fray, using his enhanced strength to slam into the down ninja. Kuma praised their teamwork, but soon received a call for backup from Kara, who was being pursued by multiple enemies. Kuma quickly regrouped with Hinata and Choji, leading them to Kara's position. Upon arrival, they found Kara fending off 4 Otonin, using a combination of Genjutsu and Taijutsu. Kuma assigned roles to the Genin, instructing Hinata to take out the ninjutsu users while Choji helped the civilians. They nodded in agreement and sprang into action, determined to protect their village. They all followed him as he marched away. Hinata ran at the 2 ninjutsu users, activating her Byakugan. Silently, she jabbed one of them in the back of the neck, and he fell to the ground. The other, a woman with straight black hair and plain-looking eyes, turned to her and charged. Hinata ducked under a poorly executed roundhouse kick and slipped behind the woman, striking her 3 times in the back before using a kunai to incapacitate her. Hinata turned to help Kuma and Kara but saw them effortlessly defeat both Odo shinobi without hesitation. Kara simply incapacitated the man while Kuma overpowered the woman with sheer strength. Hinata asked Kuma what they should do next. He ignored her, turning instead to Kara, instructing her to find Nico and inform Lord Hokage that Konoha was under attack by Oto. Kara nodded and disappeared. Kuma then turned to Hinata, shaking his head and throwing 2 kunai that whizzed past her head. She flinched as she heard 2 pained cries. Kuma berated her for leaving an enemy alive, commending her otherwise. He instructed her to head to the academy and inform Irika of the attack, who would give her further orders. Hinata saluted and dashed off. 12 clones of Naruto surrounded Gaara's airborne form. The real Naruto jumped upwards, a blue orb forming in his right hand, shouting his signature move. Suddenly he was knocked to the ground by a powerful wind jutsu, causing his clones to vanish as well. Baki, the Sand Jonin, stood in the center of the arena with Gaara beside him. Gunma charged at Baki, who dodged a series of punches and kicks before jumping away, grabbing Gaara and signaling to Gunma. The Leaf Ninja felt a sudden pain in his chest as he was struck. Baki then commanded Temari and Kankuro to begin their assault. A large 2-headed snake broke through the arena, causing chaos among the civilians. Guy leapt up and punched one of the snake's heads, while Asuma slashed at the other. Kurenai began leading civilians and Genin out of the arena. Hiruzen looked towards the Kazekage, questioning the treachery unfolding. Onoki, the Tsuchikage, interrupted, using his dust-style technique to unleash destruction. Hiruzen countered with his own barrier, absorbing the attack. The Kazekage revealed himself to be Orochimaru, smirking as he addressed Hiruzen. He declared that he would leave for now but would return after dealing with his old teammate. Hiruzen attempted to pursue Orochimaru but was halted by a wall of floating rocks. He questioned Onoki's willingness to sacrifice himself for Orochimaru's cause. Onoki stated that while he did not wish to die for Orochimaru, he was willing to do so to eradicate the leaf. He unleashed another destructive jutsu, which Hiruzen countered with his barrier. Onoki growled in frustration, acknowledging Hiruzen's defensive abilities while boasting of his offensive advantage. He floated into the sky, prompting Hiruzen to leap after him, wielding a black bow staff adorned with gold. Naruto shook off the pain and stood up, witnessing Genma's defeat. He was about to chase after Baki when he was confronted by Kankuro and his puppet. Kankuro expressed reluctance to fight Naruto but insisted on following orders. Naruto glared, demanding that Kankuro move aside. When Kankuro remained unmoving, Naruto charged, slipping beneath the puppet and creating clones to distract it while he advanced on Kankuro, only to be knocked back by a gust of wind from Temari. Temari explained that she was helping Kankuro, who snickered at the situation. Naruto saw Shikamaru, Ino, Sakura, Tenten, Sasuke, Linky, and Kimi facing off against Gaara, who was covered in sand with strange purple markings and a fierce expression. Determined to assist them, Naruto ran towards the group but was pinned down by Kankuro's puppet. Temari held her fan at the ready, stating that they had orders to subdue him. Naruto growled, using all his strength to lift the puppet off himself. With a sudden burst of energy, he created dozens of clones that overwhelmed Kankuro and his puppet. Naruto jumped up and struck Kankuro hard, knocking him to the ground. Temari retaliated by swinging her fan, sending Naruto flying. He caught himself and shook his head, thinking of Jiraiya, who was still in the village and would be a great help. He observed Kakashi and Guy battling against a horde of Oto and Suna ninja, as well as 3 gigantic snakes. Naruto focused his chakra, summoning chains that wrapped around his arms and extended towards Temari and Kankuro. With a swift motion, he ensnared them, throwing them into each other. As Kankuro lost control of his puppet, it crumpled to the ground, momentarily incapacitated. Naruto then unleashed a sticky jutsu, ensnaring Temari and Kankuro to the ground. Now to help Kakashi-sensei, he turned and jumped towards Kakashi, throwing a kunai at an otonin as he leaped. Onoki rapidly fired his atomic dismantling jutsu, but each shot was blocked by one of Hiruzen's barriers. He shouted in frustration, demanding Hiruzen to perish. Hiruzen ducked under one of Onoki's blasts, which obliterated a large portion of the stadium and struck the old man on the head with his staff. Hiruzen expressed his regret, stating that it would be Onoki who would meet his end that day. He then jumped back and initiated his technique, purification style, evil eradication jutsu. Water, lightning, and fire began to swirl around him, gathering into a ball. Suddenly, Hiruzen's staff transformed into a massive monkey, about 7 feet tall. The monkey restrained Onoki in a hold, nodding at Hiruzen. Onoki laughed, confident that Hiruzen would not harm his own summon. Hiruzen wore a sad expression as he finalized the technique, pushing his hands forward. The energy ball surged, growing larger and engulfing both Onoki and Enma. Orochimaru landed on the roof of the Hokage Tower, where Jiraiya stood with Ibiki, overseeing Konoha's forces during the invasion. Orochimaru greeted Jiraiya, who remained resolute, shaking his head and urging Ibiki to leave. Jiraiya would confront Orochimaru alone. Jiraiya turned to face Orochimaru, his anger evident. He accused Orochimaru of being pathetic for running away and whining over his desires. Orochimaru's face twisted with rage as he stepped closer, mocking Jiraiya for chasing him like a lost puppy. Jiraiya countered, expressing that he was merely searching for his best friend, who was no longer alive. Orochimaru snickered, revealing his intention to eliminate Jiraiya once and for all, but he was interrupted when Jiraiya delivered a powerful kick to his chin, sending him flying. Jiraiya followed up with a strong palm strike, knocking Orochimaru off the tower and into the fray below, where a battle between Chunin and Jonin raged. Orochimaru growled, retaliating with wide kicks. Jiraiya backstepped, unintentionally colliding with an otonin. Seizing the opportunity, Jiraiya grabbed the enemy ninja by the hair and slammed him into Orochimaru. The snake Sannin opened his mouth wide as his own subordinate fell toward him, swallowing the manhole. Jiraiya grimaced as he punched Orochimaru in the stomach, forcing him back. Orochimaru quickly formed a large purple stinger around his hand and jabbed it at Jiraiya, who evaded the attack. Orochimaru charged at Jiraiya, launching small projectiles of poison at Konoha and striking others with his stinger. Jiraiya drew a kunai, acknowledging the danger of the situation, and charged at Orochimaru, splattering oil on any Suna, Oto, or Iwa ninja in his path. The two Sannin clashed, their weapons colliding as they struggled for dominance. Both unleashed their techniques simultaneously, but the jutsu collided harmlessly. Jiraiya reminisced about a similar combination that had once taken down an entire platoon during the Second War. Orochimaru retorted that it was his poison that had been effective, while Jiraiya credited Tsunadeheim's earth walls for the victory. Orochimaru ducked and swept Jiraiya's legs, knocking him to the ground. He prepared to stab Jiraiya with his stinger, but a Konoha Jonin tackled him, saving Jiraiya. Grateful, Jiraiya acknowledged the fallen man's sacrifice. With newfound speed, he struck Orochimaru with a knee to the chest, followed by an elbow to the neck, sending him crashing to the ground. A blue orb formed in Jiraiya's hand as he shouted his technique, Rasengan. He drove the sphere into Orochimaru's back, causing a shockwave that shattered the ground beneath them. With determination, Jiraiya performed another technique, covering Orochimaru in oil before unleashing a fiery attack. Flames engulfed Orochimaru, illuminating the battlefield as the fight intensified. Once upon a time in a world where heroes and legends clashed, a young warrior named Gohan trained diligently under the watchful eye of his father, Goku. The sun rose high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the training grounds, where Gohan pushed himself to his limits, determined to become stronger. As he practiced his moves, Gohan felt a surge of energy within him. He envisioned the battles he would face, the friends he would protect, and the peace he sought to maintain. His resolve was unshakable, and with each punch and kick, he honed his skills, preparing for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, a fierce pirate named Luffy sailed the seas with his crew, seeking adventure and the legendary treasure known as One Piece. His laughter echoed across the waves as he faced formidable foes, each encounter only fueling his desire to become the Pirate King. Luffy's unwavering spirit inspired those around him, and his friends stood by him, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. In the shadows, a dark figure plotted, seeking to disrupt the harmony that both Gohan and Luffy fought to protect. This figure, driven by ambition and power, sought to unleash chaos upon the world. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, where heroes would rise, and destinies would intertwine. As the paths of Gohan and Luffy began to converge, they would discover the strength of friendship and the importance of standing together against the darkness. Each hero would face their own trials, but with courage and determination, they would strive to overcome the odds and forge a brighter future. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but Gohan and Luffy were ready to face whatever came their way, united in their quest for justice and adventure. Together, they would write their own legends in the annals of history.